A-grade O-levels, or GCSEs as you call them. Off we go then on 5 Live Sport with Arsenal all in black, the chain strip, kicking from right to left, then away from their supporters who are way up to our right hand side. The sun peeks through. Lovely afternoon now for football, and absolutely crucial at both ends of the table, because teams around West Ham United are suddenly picking up points in the relegation peril area, and of course we know that one slip for Arsenal, Manchester City are right in there.
Absolutely, and Declan Rice just snapping into 2 tackles in the opening seconds of this game. One, he leaves a little bit on Gabriel Jesus, who kind of turns around to say, what you're doing, and Declan gives him a little kind of acknowledgement, and then ball goes into Partey and he's straight into that tackle as well. So really good intent from West Ham in the opening stages of this game.
Well, it is a London derby, and Gabriel needs to expect that. It is a derby match that over the years has gone against West Ham, but they are on the attack again, led by Declan Rice, who won it back strongly and away to Ben Rama on that left hand side, plays it back to his left full-back Cresswell, and it comes to the heart of their defence then, where it's Zuma back there today alongside Thilo Kehrer, and that should be an Arsenal throw-in down below us, about 5 yards from the dead ball line. West Ham have won only 2 of their last 31 games in all against Arsenal. They have been victorious in just 8 of their 53 Premier League games against the Gunners, and only 3 of those 8 were wins at home. Over the years it has been a fixture that very much has favoured the North London side. Here's Sofal with the throw down the line for West Ham United, intercepted by the much improved Gabriel, and Kieran Tierney touches it off then to Rob Holding, the longest serving Arsenal player. Tierney starting in the league for only a 5th time this season in the absence of Zinchenko. Very interested to hear the words of Neil Lennon in the build up to this, and the way that Arsenal might have to change, because Tierney isn't as adaptable going infield as an inverted fullback from Zinchenko, but that's exactly what he's done here at the start, so it will be interesting to see how he goes.
Really interesting, isn't it? I mean, went straight inside. He's now in that kind of holding midfield position, Kieran Tierney, just looking to have the ball, so he's certainly adapting that Zinchenko style.
We'll see how it works. Neil would know him better than most, of course, from Scottish days. Partey bumped to the ground, strong challenge by Paquetá. Tigrishley then closes in for a second challenge and leaves Ben White on the deck, and that's going to be a free kick for Arsenal. 10 yards in from the far touchline, which is a long way away from us, and about 15 yards inside the West Ham half. 0-0.
Well, encouraging start from West Ham, because you know you get that European away game hangover. It hasn't been that in the opening couple of minutes. They've actually looked really bright, very much on the front foot, pressing up high, trying to put Arsenal under pressure and making some good tackles.
Arsenal just pause over this free kick. It's going to be Granit Xhaka who ambles across to take it eventually, and then finds his captain Martin Odegaard, switches to his left foot, hooks in a good cross. It's half cleared away. Martinelli is there first. Tierney's to his left hand side. Martinelli shapes across it back into the middle, and Gabriel's in the 6-yard area, mistimed his leap and his header, didn't get enough twist on the head, heads wide.
That's a great chance, really good chance, and when I saw the ball go in, I thought this may end up in the back of the net, because he gets up, he gets plenty of contact on this, Gabriel. As the ball comes in, it gets kind of recycled from the initial free kick. Martinelli with a right foot in swinger, and he just doesn't get the contact. He gets above Kehrer, and the right contact, I think he's big trouble, because he's on the 6-yard line when he heads it. He just doesn't head it down on target.
Don't forget, we have the commentary of Nottingham Forest against Manchester United from the City Ground. That's the 4:30 kick-off. Celtic have won at Rugby Park at Kilmarnock already by 4 goals to 1. They're 2 wins away from the title. We'll keep you up to date with the Women's FA Cup semi-final that kicks off at 2:15 at the Bescott Stadium. Villa against the reigning holders Chelsea. And from Premiership Rugby, Leicester Tigers against Exeter Chiefs as well a little bit later on. We'll keep you up to date with that. Here's Bowen. And now it's West Ham who press again. Rice to the right side. Antonio Witch, and a lovely cross, just too high for the stretching Paquetá. Comes at edge of the penalty area. Cresswell's in there. Little setup forward to Ben Rama. Switches feet, shoots, point blank range, hit an Arsenal player. Big appeals for a penalty for handball. Referee quickly said no. He just crossed his arms across his chest as if to say, nothing doing there, David Coote. I think, listen, look at David Moore. He's on the pitch raging.
Yeah, he's not happy, is he? And I can see a lot of the West Ham players appeal for that. It looked to me like, I think it was Partey who the ball hit, It's a left foot shot from Ben Rama. It's actually Rob Holding, but his arm is in a perfectly sensible position across the front of his body. You know, if it doesn't hit his arm, it's just going to hit him straight in the stomach. So his hand's in a perfect position there, Rob Holding.
Never a penalty.
No.
But her arm was down.
But don't you think that there's a licence to appeal for everything at the moment, JP? It's just like, it's gone mad, isn't it, in terms of the handball situation?
Absolutely right. And here now is Gabriel at the back. Gabriel plays forward. It's a long-ranging diagonal ball to Odegaard, who's the furthest forward Arsenal player, then checks back, rolls into a deeper position, 10 yards outside the box. To the right side finds White. And here's Saka in bright orange boots. Couldn't get beyond the snappy challenge, and they really are snapping into the challenges, West Ham. That was Ben Rama. And this is a really intense opening from West Ham United with 5 minutes gone and goalless on 5 light. Gabriel has it. Martinelli's little flick tries to release Tierney, and across to cover comes Sofal, who has had his injury problems this season. He was out for a month with plantar fasciitis. If you've ever had it, it is incredibly painful. And here's Partey.
Talking from experience there.
Oh, I am. It's shocking. Out wide to the right-hand side. Brought under control by Saka. Saka plays back to Ben White. White into the penalty area. Saka is there. Rolls across the face of the penalty area. Looks for Partey. Partey to his right-hand side. Odegaard. Good move here by Arsenal. It comes to the far post. Jesus 1-0. Lovely move. White got to the dead ball line. Squirted it across the base of the goal. West Ham hesitation fatal, and Gabriel Jesus continues his remarkable return to first team action with his 4th goal in 3 games.
Wow, surgical piece of play from Arsenal. What you'd expect from a team in their position with the quality they have. They love being in wide areas, anything wide of the 18-yard box. They've just got brilliant quality, passing ability, players that have real vision and movement. And that's what this goal's born from. It's on the right-hand side. Saka receives it. He's 1v1 with Cresswell. But the way he just slows the play down, it comes back, and it looks like they're kind of done for that attack. But then he runs inside. Lovely little bit of passing into Partey. Odegaard's in there, but Ben White picks up a lovely position, and he's just onside. He gets to the byline, fires the ball across the goal. And there's Gabriel Jesus in the perfect position for your centre-forward, just ready for a tap-in at the back post. Whether or not Fabianski can maybe try and get a touch on this cross, it's so tight to him. I think the only way they can stop that is Fabianski just gets a touch on the ball and doesn't allow the ball across the face of the goal, because it's literally, 2 yards, 3 yards out where the ball gets crossed. I'm surprised the goalkeeper hasn't dealt with that.
And if they equal the club record of 10 away clean sheets in a single Premier League season, they win this game and they go 6 points clear at the top again. Here's Jesus racing away down the left-hand touchline from his own half to 10 yards inside the West Ham half. Little back heel, looked for Martinelli, who stumbled as he went to change direction and is limping. Arsenal have it with Gabriel at the back, pursued by Bowen. His clearance is chested back forward by Sofal, and it's away for a goal. But just a little bit of concern there for Arsenal, in that Martinelli, with fluorescent lime boots, touching his right knee, and he's just limping rather gingerly on the halfway line. They will not want to be without him, although of course they have Leandro Trossard on the bench, who started his Arsenal life very successfully. This has been a successful season up to now for them, but nothing has been won by them. Unbeaten in 10 games in normal time, 7 league wins in 8, 23 league wins this season. It has been phenomenal. They've won nothing yet, and they know it, and that's why it keeps them going.
Yeah, I know, but if Arsenal do beat this Manchester City team to the title, it will have to go down as one of their greatest achievements, I would say, because you're playing against an absolutely fantastic team in Manchester City, and to beat them over a league season is some going.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 1. Arsenal the only team yet to lose a top flight game, having scored the first goal, and they're on the attack again. Jesus 10 yards inside the West Ham half, rightish, swings the ball, big switch of play, lofts it away 50 yards, well taken by Martinelli, spins the cross outside of his right boot. Such confidence in the manner of the cross. Tierney plays it back out to him as West Ham struggle to clear. Tierney, this is a lofty cross, far post, Odegaard coming in, 2-0. 2-0 to Arsenal. They've sliced West Ham apart twice in the opening 9 minutes to lead 2-0.
Oh, it's shocking defending at the back post. I can't quite see who he runs off. Maybe Ben Rama. Lovely ball. Martinelli's right knee seems to be okay now, because he's just put a ball in with the outside of his right boot, and then that lovely floated cross with in-swinging of his right boot as well, and it's Martin Odegaard. He just kind of ghosts out to the back post. The ball's on the left-hand side. Martinelli level with the 18-yard box line. He just whips it to the back post. It's a beautiful flight on the cross, and West Ham just go to sleep. They don't lock in and tie in. Odegaard completely the wrong side, unmarked, strolls into the back post and just side foots it with his left foot, opens his body out and just punches the ball goalwards down into the ground, and he's straight past Fabianski. 2-0 and Arsenal absolutely cruising.
Lovely finish, wasn't it? Arriving late at the far post. We've just seen a slow motion replay of it again. He had plenty of work to do. It was at a sort of thigh-high level, and he just pivoted off his right foot, and instep of the left hit it in. He now has 11 goals this season. They've shared them around. Saka 13, Martinelli 14, Granit Xhaka has 7, Jesus has 9. They're in the mood here. They know their goal difference is inferior to Manchester City. Might come down to that, of course. Manchester City started the day 3 points off them with a game in hand, and Arsenal have to go up there to Manchester City. Let's not forget that. Every game is now so important for them. They have Southampton at home before they go up to the Etihad, and they're now in possession of the football with Gabriel inside his own half. Tall Brazilian defender with the orange boots finds Martinelli across towards the sandy-haired Rob Holding. Short sleeve shirts, the order of the day for most of the Arsenal players today. Martinelli's wearing a long sleeve shirt, I noticed. Partey has
never
it.
Used to be allowed that, JP.
Oh, it's a lovely ball by Odegaard trying to get through to Jesus. What, long sleeve or short sleeve?
Well, the captain chose. Tony Adams would choose.
That was short sleeve.
That was it. Always short sleeve. People used to beg, please, can we wear long sleeve today? No.
-3, sleep coming down. He was there.
That's the one.
Short sleeve.
Captain chose the shirt sleeves. It was his choice.
Old school. 2-0 to Arsenal. The Arsenal of 2023, the new look Arsenal, the Arsenal of Arteta. And West Ham have possession on their left. Cresswell up towards Antonio, running in the channel inside right, trying to get between Holding and Gabriel. Went down, complains that a free kick wasn't given, and David Coote says there was a coming together and no more than that.
He's had a clump on the top of his foot there though, Rob Holding. There's a real tangle of legs with him and Antonio. I mean, the only ball that West Ham really have at the moment is that one down the channel to try and get Bowen or Antonio down the side of the two centre-backs, because they're just not, for me, capable of controlling the ball into midfield and playing through Arsenal. They just can't get the passes off West Ham. They're not set up to have the ball in their own half at all, and that for me is the main threat they're going to pose here today. And Rob Holding and Gabriel are both going to be relatively busy, but handling balls that you'd expect them to handle, JP. You know, anything in the channel, just long. As a centre-back, your positioning's right, you just mop them up all day.
Upson, who played for both of these football clubs with distinction, they do have an option on the bench should Holding not recover. He still is hobbling a little bit. Jakub Kiwior is on the bench, the Polish international. So young Raul Walters, who's been around the first team on a handful of occasions this season, hasn't made an appearance from the bench. He's a centre back or a left back, young England international. Here's Martinelli, lovely dummy by him, releases the ball then to Tierney between the touchline and the West Ham penalty area, left hand side, but he scuffs his ball intended to Odegaard, and Bowen now has it for West Ham United and sprints away and deflects the ball off the covering Arsenal captain Odegaard. West Ham United at 2-0 down on 5 Live have a throw in on the halfway line right hand side.
The worrying thing for me about West Ham here is that I don't think they've not started like flat, have they? You know, they've it doesn't look an attitudinal thing that they've turned up and they've been away from home midweek and they're a bit, well, you know, bit floppy and not quite at it. They've actually started quite brightly in terms of the way they've gone about the game. It's just the setup and the organisation of the back four, making mistakes, not tracking runners. I think Fabianski can do better with the cross from Ben White in terms of just getting a foot on it and clearing it. It's so close to him. I think the goalkeeper needs to do that. It's just these kind of mistakes you can't afford to make. Sofar's
long throw into the Arsenal box is headed on by Zuma, easy collected once again by the Arsenal goalkeeper, who has been so consistent this season, Aaron Ramsdale. Real winning mentality, and he's had a fantastic campaign. And here's now look how deep Jesus is, 10 yards outside his box.
Like a holding midfield player's position, isn't it?
Martinelli's gone into the centre now, the furthest forward player for them, as Partey rakes the ball out to Saka, isolated with Cresswell, comes infield. Odegaard is in support, one touch, second to pass off. Partey takes 3 or 4 touches on the ball as he looks away towards the left, plays short to Tierney, just inside the West Ham half. Arsenal leading by 2-0, and it's pushed back then to Gabriel. Another Arsenal player makes himself available. Tierney, who looks okay in that in sort of inverted fullback midfield position, has it again. Look,
there's no reason why he shouldn't be good in there. You know, he's very good with the ball, got a nice left foot.
He finds Saka, and Saka away to Jesus, who's now between the box and this left-hand touchline, 2 yards from the dead ball line, runs straight at Sofar. Sofar gets the block challenge in and will clear it away. The fact that he has had an injury so far and hasn't been at the peak he was last season, Souček likewise, I think 2 contributory factors to West Ham's poor league positions, but it is very, very difficult to put your finger on it precisely. Saka wins it for Arsenal, facing away from goal, heads infield to Martinelli, who stayed in that more central role. Xhaka's taken a knock, goes down, play on. Arsenal happy to play on. Odegaard has it at 2-0 up.
Look how much time he has on the ball there. I mean, they're nearly halfway inside the West Ham half, and there's nobody pressurising within 5-10 yards of the Arsenal midfield.
After Ghent on Thursday here 1-1 from the first leg of that quarter-final in Europe, they go to Bournemouth, then have Liverpool here, go to Palace before Manchester United here, a possible European Cup semi-final first leg, and then Brentford away. Games thick and fast this month for West Ham United. The burden of playing in Europe and trying to get enough points. They do have a game in hand on teams around them, but there is a burden of recovery, play this month for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the problems you have with West Ham, you look at their season, is that they're a team that are effective when they're out of possession, aren't they? They don't particularly like having that much of the ball. They very rarely have the majority of possession in any game. And I think when you play like that, when you don't have the ball, you have to be effective with it. And they just haven't been this season. They haven't had the same physicality and ability to hurt teams, certainly in wide areas, and a centre forward that's going to be troublesome in the box. It just hasn't happened for them. And I think when you play like that all the time, it's tiring, JP. Season after season of not having the ball and chasing a lot and shutting down, it takes it out of you. And after 2 or 3 seasons of doing that, they just look like a team that are really flagging in that sense.
Especially when they've only got one regular starter who's under the age of 25.
Yep.
That's Declan Rice.
Certainly is a factor.
Arsenal teeming with youngsters, of course. This isn't one of them. Granit Xhaka on the left-hand side, back to Kieran Tierney, who's had very few starts, but he's still racked up 30 appearances this season in all. And now Ramsdale, you can watch again Arsenal's terrific start here on Matchday 2 at 10:30 tonight on BBC One with Mark Chapman, Neda Manua. A busy day for him. We heard him in the build-up to this, and Jill Scott, and she'll also be reflecting, I guess, on the Women's FA Cup semi-final between Villa, looking to get to the FA Cup final at Wembley for the first time ever, and Chelsea have won it for the last 2. Now here's Xhaka to Martinelli, little give and go. Tierney ambling in from the left touchline, angles to Odegaard, comes Kira to steal and get it away to Antonio, and now a foot race with Holding as he knocks it to that left hand touchline and pounds across the turf. There's no one in support for him at all. He has to go all on his own to the dead ball line. Holding stretches out a challenge. There's a free kick given a yard outside the box.
I thought that was in. I mean, Rob Holding took a massive gamble there. He's not going to get to the ball. It's going to be interesting to see the replay of this. I mean, it looked like it might have been literally a fraction outside the box. But that is the only place for me that West Ham are going to do damage to Arsenal. In that channel area, if Antonio can isolate Holding out there and run at him like the way he did and just draw him into making a foul or a rash decision, which that was, then they're going to create something, and I think that's their best tact in this game.
Contact was no more than a foot and a half outside the penalty area. Had it continued inside the box, the referee would have had a decision to make. But West Ham United have an opportunity here with 18 minutes to go to half the arrears. 5 Live from the BBC. What are you now? 4 yards out from the dead ball line. It's going to be Rice to whip it right-footed into the mix, and it's blocked in there by Ben White. Tentative appeals from the West Ham fans behind that goal for handball. It wasn't either. High lofty cross looking for Zuma, and there's an offside flag anyway raised. It'll be a free kick for Arsenal. Referee says go on. Now that's interesting because they're in a dangerous position. They've got out of it very smoothly. But let play go on.
It'd have been interesting if they'd lost that ball there and it got crossed back in the box and a goal would have been scored. I mean, they would have been absolutely fuming about that. But I understand the play on that. They were in possession of it, although it wasn't in a particularly good position for Arsenal.
Well, the old school Tony Adams short sleeve shirt would have been tearing off after the referee back in the day, and Martin Keown would have given him a stare, and the referee would be quaking.
You know,
possibly
that's there.
for the rest of his life.
That's there, JP, don't you?
We love him. We love him to bits, and wouldn't like to have played against him.
No.
You play against him in training?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is he as intense in training?
More like you jump out of the way of him. What a competitor.
Yeah.
What a player.
Here is underrated, I think.
Yeah.
As a player, really. People talk about the other Arsenal.
Oh, he's brilliant to play with as well.
Great man marker.
Super to play with.
Odegaard on a diagonal all the way through, and gathered. That's not the best pass of the season from the Arsenal captain. Gathered easily by Fabianski. 34 goals conceded this season now, and 29 for him. West Ham have given it away. Saka rolling in from the right-hand touchline, changes direction. Paqueta is just up after him. He hasn't played quite as far forward as we thought he would. And when he didn't win it back, Cresswell did, and Paqueta now pushes infield to Rice.
I mean, how many times you watch West Ham this season, you're not even too sure Paqueta's on the pitch, are you? Because he's a player that you have to have the lion's share of the ball to get the best from him. And this for me is another big part of the problem. Players like him coming into the club who are the next level up, you have to say, in terms of footballers, but are they set up to accommodate a player like him and how they play? And that for me is the confusion with West Ham at the moment, whereas last season before, very clear what they did, and they did it so effectively.
He's white for Arsenal, leading 2-0. Odegaard, a little cute back heel, finds Thomas Partey. Plum dead centre, will go for goal from there. Well, he cuts it into Odegaard in the D, little cute back heel into the edge of the penalty area. Saka tried to flick it off to his right and finds Jesus. It was blocked and cleared away, but Arsenal come again at 2-0 up. In goes so far to win it against the dawdling Martinelli, and now finds Bowen. Bowen was tagged in there, I think, by Partey. The referee had a very clear look at it, and he was in an advantageous position, the referee, perfect position to see it, and eventually has brought things back.
Did he just wait for play on? I mean, there wasn't much to play on for, was there? The referee had a look at it, and it was very clear that there was a foul from Partey as he came across to deal with Bowen, who just touches the ball away from him, and I think he might just stand on his foot, possibly accidentally, but it was a foul. He allowed play to carry on and has brought it back, but there was no real advantage at all for West Ham.
Commentary on Sports Extra throughout the day, by the way, of the county championship game. Surrey, reigning champions, who haven't started well, lost their opening game against Hampshire. I think they were set 243 to win Surrey. That game, World Snooker Championship, of course, continues. Watch live coverage on BBC TV and the red button, uninterrupted coverage on the iPlayer. And here come West Ham United deep inside their own half, rolls away from Kurt Zouma, who's playing on the right-hand side of the centre-back pairing. Kehrer is to his left. I'm not too sure if that suits him best. They fail to clear it away, and Arsenal find Jesus looking for a gap, can't get through, but Martinelli's behind him, buzzes into the penalty area, checks back to his right foot, lays it to the edge of the penalty area. Odegaard takes up a shooting opportunity, shoots it, ricochets off Kehrer, ricochets off Jesus, who stood in an offside position from the first ball in, and therefore the free kick is given West Ham's way.
Well, that was sloppy from West Ham, in control of the ball. Declan Rice with a block pass, and then Zouma not quick enough getting the ball back to Fabianski. It's all a little bit slow from West Ham now in possession. There's no real zip to their play, no quick passing or interchange or anything like that. And Arsenal, if they're set right and they can see that crossfield ball, and because it's not with any real pace or conviction, if they pounce on it, they're going to be a threat, just nicking the ball in and around the halfway line.
Antonio for West Ham between the right-hand touchline in the penalty box, pulls it back to Bowen. Bowen, fair-haired, jaunty run, runs at Tierney. Tierney deflects it back off Bowen, and it's a throw-in to Arsenal. Tierney was very quick to appeal to Lee Betts, the assistant referee, and the orange-clad referee says throw or goal kick. Is it to Arsenal? Must have ricocheted away out of play for a goal kick and not just a throw, and it'll be taken here then by Aaron Ramsdale, who has 13 clean sheets in all this season for the Gunners, and gets it back again.
We're not getting the full effects of the London Stadium, are we, after those two goals?
No.
I mean, you normally do get a good bit of noise and atmosphere around here, but I think the West Ham fans are just at the moment in their seats looking at the game thinking, or scratching their heads almost, thinking how do we get back in this game?
Certainly not the London Stadium of Super Saturday, the Olympics. 11 years ago. 11 years ago, that's outrageous, isn't it? Let's go to Aston Villa Chelsea, the Women's FA Cup semi-final. Here's Ellen Ellard.
Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 0. Aston Villa in the semi-final for the first time in their history, and just one game from Wembley, and they've made a really good start in front of the 5,000 Aston Villa fans. Rachel Daly making a promising run at goal, but good composure from Maren Mjelde to shut down the attack. Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 0.
Such experience Mjelde has at the final 14th of May. Man United there. Here's Saka now for Arsenal, and then Martinelli rolling in off the left-hand touchline, leaving so far behind him. Partey in 20 yards of space. Jesus dropping deep, 10 yards of space. Ben White, far right touchline, 10 yards of space. You get in the picture, I hope, because this West Ham aren't, they're not denying Arsenal time and space on the ball as they should be doing. They're 2-0 down.
They're just not getting out. I don't think there's a lot of trust in the back four to get higher up the pitch. I think that's a massive problem that David Moyes has in terms of the centre-backs, driving the team up, being comfortable, being higher with the spacing behind. They're just sat so deep, and you've got the likes of Souček and Rice and Paqueta, who, for me, put a real shift in. But you're chasing shadows, JP, when you're playing Arsenal. If you're not willing to get high and put pressure high up the pitch and really set your stall out, they're just going to play the ball around all afternoon.
Mikel Arteta looks exasperated down there at 2-0 up because Gabriel Jesus tried a little bit of a showboaty, lofted, curling pass out on the right-hand touchline aimed at, I think it was Ben White who was on an overlap, and it went way out of play, and the manager was displeased. We're seeing cutaway of Zinchenko, who's down there in the Arsenal technical area but not fit enough to play, has this groin strain and not wrist, and they do have a very able deputy in Tierney to come in. Slightly more questionable resources at right full-back, where Ben White has done a sterling job this season for them. Nominally, of course, as centre-half, he's played a fair amount of football at right-back, it has to be said, but he's another who's had a cracking season out there. Here's Kehrer for West Ham. Side puts it into Paqueta, and back then to Kehrer, who launches long. That's a very, very poor ball.
But how slow is that passing? There's no real movement off the ball. He has to clip a ball long, and it's nowhere near a centre forward. He's just handing the ball back to Arsenal. West Ham not able to really build up any rhythm at all in possession.
And 2-0 down. The boos rang around the London Stadium there momentarily. They are seeing other teams around them in the league having this bounce. Crystal Palace 3 wins in 3 under Roy Hodgson. Bournemouth a remarkable recovery under Gary O'Neill. Moved him in towards the start of the season and kept their faith when other people were saying, have they got enough to stay up? Other teams are winning. And West Ham United, though they do have these games in hand, know that the games overall in the campaign are running away. And it has not been a happy season for them, West Ham United.
I mean, the 2 wins against Southampton and Fulham have just look huge now, don't they? Massive wins for West Ham, both 1-0. Both of them probably only had 35-40% possession of the ball. And I think in this game already they've only had 22% possession at home against Arsenal. Now you would expect Arsenal to have more of the ball, but that's such a huge deficit, isn't it? It's very hard to think about scoring when you just don't have the ball enough.
During the afternoon with Matt Upson here at the London Stadium. Arsenal 2-0 at those 2 wins for West Ham United in the last 3 games, as many as they'd won in the previous 14. And looking to keep win back-to-back league games for the first time since October. They've got a lot of work to do, and that's a free kick given against so far for holding back on Martinelli, the Czech Republic international, recently employed against Poland and Moldova. Unhappy with that decision, but it's a free kick.
I think it's an offside.
Was it?
I think the linesman's just popped his flag up, and that's why so far I had to look back as if to say it's never been a foul. Like, I just challenged for the ball, but he must have crept a little bit too early, and the linesman just put his flag up.
David Moyes down there has just done that gesture. I can't remember the film it originated in.
Robert De Niro in
when you put your fingers towards your eyes and then point out onto the pitch, you have to say, I've got my eye on
I'm
you,
watching
or keep your eye on you. To one of his players out there, it's Odegaard, who creeps away from Ben Rama. Maybe it was to Ben Rama, keep an eye on Odegaard.
I think it was Meet the Fockers, wasn't it?
Was it really?
I think so.
Easy for you to say. Now on that far side, the ball is ripped out of play, and that'll be a throw to... No, he's given a free kick here. He's given a free kick for the challenge on Odegaard, 10 yards inside the West Ham half. They just look as if they're thrilled to bits to be playing football this way, Arsenal, enjoying every moment of it. And for West Ham, it looks like a big and rather painful struggle.
Yeah, It's going to be a long afternoon, isn't it, in a West Ham jersey. You're 2-0 down so early after 10 minutes, and now you're playing against a team that you know is going to have the ball so much more than what you are as a team, and that can be demoralising. So it really can, for the players to think, well, do we believe we're going to get back into this game? And at the moment, it's hard to see West Ham scoring 2 goals, isn't it?
Interesting to hear the chat and the build-up to the programme about Ollie Watkins. More on that in a moment, as Ben White here advances down the right-hand side for Arsenal to pick up a deflected forward pass, and West Ham just stood and watched him. Arsenal can get across into the box through Partey. It's blocked and cleared away, and now Ben Rama steers infield to the edge of his own box. Kehrer to Cresswell, closed by Saka, but he got it away neatly, and Paqueta, that's a good ball off to Ben Rama. Now it's up to Antonio, chance for West Ham United, and across strides Gabriel. Accomplished defending there, just stole it off his toes and plays back to holding inside his own penalty. A really good centre-half play that.
Yeah, lovely play from West Ham as well. One of the few passages where they've got some passes off into Paqueta. Lovely flick round the corner, slid ball into Antonio, and he just got the wrong side of holding, but his centre-back partner did great.
Oh, Rice has got it into the penalty, and that's surely a penalty to West Ham United, and Arsenal have gifted them away back into the game. It was a sloppy piece of football by Partey, who thought he should have had a free kick for handball. The referee said no, go on. West Ham got it into the penalty area very quickly, across towards Paqueta, who for me, first glance, is clearly fouled. Rice stole it away from Partey into the box, and Paqueta brought down by Gabriel, penalty.
Well, Declan Rice has done this 2 or 3 times in this game. Did it very early on. He really gambled and pressurised early, and he does it there. Thomas Partey tries to flick the ball up in the air to get the other side of him. It's a risky thing to do in that position. It hits Rice almost in his midriff because it's really good pressure. He's fully committed, and he's just put Arsenal on the back foot. And I have to say, it does look like a penalty, doesn't it? I don't think there's any complaints about the fact that it's going to be a penalty. Gabriel gone to ground, makes contact, nowhere near the ball. But really good pressure from Declan Rice.
John Brooks, the VAR's looking at it.
The only thing to look at, isn't it?
Well, the only thing I can think of, Matt, is that they thought that he was going down before the challenge came in. But
as in the ball's too far away from him.
Yeah, but I think from my first reaction, penalty.
Yeah. Well, maybe the contact is a little bit after. The ball has gone a fair way away. But you go to ground, even if the ball isn't right next to you, and you connect with a player like that, and he bundles over, it's hard to see how it's not going to be given as a penalty.
Well, the fans are booing, you can understand their frustration. But it is a penalty. They've got several possible penalty takers in the side. It's going to be Ben Rama who's given the responsibility for West Ham United to halve the arrears and bring them right back into the game and add to a paltry 3 goals for him. Scored his last from the penalty spot. That was against Aston Villa on March the 12th. He'll take it right-footed. His run starts slightly to the left of the ball. He runs up 3 yards and puts Ramsdale the wrong way, and West Ham United on BBC 5 Live are back in the game at 1-2.
Wow, strokes it away beautifully with his right foot. Super calm and composed, strolls up to the ball, goes to Ramsdale's left, he dives to the right, commits early, and Ben Rama just strokes it in that bottom corner, and at last we hear that roar from the West Ham fans. It's been so quiet in this stadium through the dominance of Arsenal and obviously being 2-0 up, but it's just brought this game back to life, and I have to say it needed it. It was really fizzling out, and West Ham just back in it now.
Well, 2-0 down on the back of the 5-1 drubbing by Newcastle here. It was as if everyone on the ground was suffering from shell shock. Now it's more like the atmosphere we have seen here. Not too often this season, but when they do get going, they are so passionate about this football club. And it's going to be Arsenal in possession now at 2-1 up. Ball whipped round the corner by Saka cleverly and with pace to Tierney, still inside his own half in that more central role. Bends the ball up, inviting Martinelli to run it so far, who lobs it up in the air, turns, comes across this near touchline, can't keep it in play, and that will be an Arsenal throw in. And Gabriel Jesus takes a spare ball off they've got little sort of light blue cones around the ground, multi-ball system I think you call it, Matt. Yep. So we can get going again.
Yeah, get the ball back in, which you need to at this stadium, because there's quite a substantial gap between the touchline and the stands, so you do need plenty of ball boys or girls on the outside, just putting those balls back on the cones.
And West Ham United can counter again, and they really now are buoyed by the goal, but Ben Rama running all alone, surrounded by 4 Arsenal players in black shirts, has drawn a free kick. And if Mikel Arteta down there sees his team concede from this, he will be absolutely fuming. Why foul?
He's not happy. He's got this kind of patrolling around the technical area at the moment, Mikel Arteta, with a real purpose. His body language, you can tell he's keeping it in, but inside he is not happy. His team in total control of this game, and now all of a sudden it's just on the edge, and Thomas Partey, sloppy foul, gets the wrong side, yellow card. More reason for the fans to get up, more reason for the West Ham players to think, hold on a minute, we've got a little chance in this game and we're going to push even harder.
And 2 minutes ago his mistake led to the West Ham goal. He's now got himself yellow carded. West Ham have a free kick at 1-2 down. Bowen runs away from it to allow Sofal to bend it brilliantly into the box. Would have been an own goal, came off holding and just pushed up and over the bar for a corner. So close, West Ham United. Antonio was in the thick as well.
Lovely delivery, because the ball's quite central, so it has to be clipped with a real bit of curl on it. There's a player coming round the far post, and I think it is Holding, isn't it? Just gets a glance on it, but it's Antonio with the main bulk of the header. I think it flicks off Holding, hits Antonio down into the ground, and Ramsdale can't take a chance. He just tips it over the bar. I think it was going over anyway, but he had to be short.
But it's a West Ham United corner on their left-hand side now. Rice peels away from the near post there. It's hit in long behind him. Socek came in. Another corner kick is given. He's such a danger at set pieces, Thomas Socek, who only has 2 goals this season and hasn't replicated last season's goal glut, but he was a danger in there at the near post.
Yeah, big danger, and it is an area where West Ham are set up well, attacking set plays. They've got some big lads, good headers of the ball. Zuma, Socek, Carer's up there. Antonio's a handful as well.
Corner ball for West Ham. They're trailing 2-1, and it bends. The goalkeeper's come, hasn't got there, was helped out by Odegaard's sweeping, lofted clearance. Sofal's the last man back to plop his header to Declan Rice, left corner of the box, out to the left touchline. Cresswell gets a cross back in at full pelt, not bad at all. Ben White heads it away. And it's nodded on by Saka, but Arsenal now, the league leaders, are being hard pressed by West Ham United. Launched by Sofal away towards that left-hand side. Ben Rama brings it down under control and will settle for that. Will he know what's been given here?
And it's a throw-in for Arsenal, I think, because Saka gets back, makes the tackle, and I think it just ricochets back off Ben Rama and goes wide. I think Ben Rama, for me, he's got to do a little bit better there, JP. Like, the ball comes out to him, Saka's closing down really fast. If he moves the ball quickly, he's inside him and he's at the goal. He just doesn't quite shift the ball well enough, Ben Rama, for a player of his quality and what his skill set is. You want him creating more and being more attacking, going past players in that area of the pitch.
Don't forget, you can see it all on Match of the Day 2 at 10:30 BBC One, and it'll all be debated on the Monday Night Club on 5 Live tomorrow. Mark Chapman joined by Dion Duplin, Chris Sutton and Rory Smith, debating all the big football updates of Leeds United against Liverpool as well. We'll have an update right now for the Women's FA Cup semi-final from Ellen Ellard.
23 minutes played here, Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 0. Lots of pressure now from the holders and all through Lauren James. She's had a powerful shot from inside the box go wide, another sail over the top of the bar, and she set up Guru Wrighton really nicely, but she had mistimed her run towards Hannah Hampton's goal. It's still 0-0. Winners
of the competition for the last 2 seasons, although the first of those was the delayed cup final. Both of them were played last season, if you remember. It's going to be a throw to West Ham United, and the crowd. This stadium it is bizarre. It's like I don't know, like a Sunday stroll out. Sometimes it's so quiet, and then it's like a full-on dance club on a mental Saturday night. Sometimes in comes the throw from Sofal, headed away. Comes out here to Paqueta lobs it into the middle, headed away, back to Paqueta, and he hits it. Ooh, that's not too far away, man. That was veering. Yeah,
dipping, wasn't it? Ball just didn't quite come down early enough, so he had to take it quite high with his right foot, and by the time he'd hit it, it was quite a high contact, so it never looked like it was going to get underneath the crossbar. But yeah, West Ham just knocking on the door and asking the question, and before that goal there was none of this going on. You know, the crowd were silent. it was a bit dull because Arsenal was so in control, so it's really brought the game to life, which is good for the neutral. But from Arsenal's perspective, after what happened last weekend and how well they started that game at Anfield, it's almost a mini replay of that. Not quite to that level, but you know, you just got that in the back of your mind a little bit.
In the back of the mind will be the trip to Manchester City after the home game against Southampton. They cannot afford to drop points because Manchester City have that game in hand as well. Here's Jesus, centre circle, been outstanding so far. To his right is Partey, a yard away, and then out to the right-hand touchline. White is 10 yards inside the West Ham half, right-hand side. Odegaard just to his left-hand side, back then to Ben White. White, lovely ball into the penalty area. Saka's there to the dead ball line, pulls it back, comes to Martinelli. There's a heavy touch. Odegaard into the penalty area. He tried to work it to Tierney, and Martinelli inadvertently got in the way, and Bowen will run it clear for West Ham United. And it's Martinelli gets back at him, and Arsenal have a throw in at 2-1 up.
He's got to leave it for Jesus there, Odegaard. I think Jesus is then coming from midfield back into the box. If he just gets out of the way, he's coming onto that ball at the edge of the box with a clear sight at goal. I think he would have just hit that first time with his right foot, but Odegaard decided to step in and play the pass when Gabriel, for me, was in a much better position to get a shot off on goal.
As mentioned on Sports Extra on Monday from 2:55 in the afternoon, live commentary of the Royal Challengers Bangalore against Chennai Super Kings. That's in the Indian Premier League, the most watched cricket league on the planet. You can get that on Sports Extra on Monday. It's 2-1 to Arsenal here, and they push up to Gabriel Jesus. Behind him is Zuma, who slides in. Fair challenge, says the referee. Paqueta is there, and as Jesus went to close on Paqueta, so far got in his way, buffeted him to the ground. Free kick Arsenal. I'm not too sure whether so far could have got out of the way, or am I being generous, Matt?
I think that might be a little bit generous, Jonathan, to be honest. I think he kind of knows what he's doing here. He sees him there, and then he just has a little step across him. Gabriel Jesus does make the most of it, I have to say. There's not much contact, but I think so far he's a wily opponent. I think you give him a little bit too much credit there.
Yeah, quite funny to watch it again, actually. You said he didn't foul him, you can quite clearly see he did.
Yeah.
Knew exactly what he was doing, didn't he?
He's a proper man-to-man marker, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a rash, as they say. I think he'd follow you home out the car park, couldn't he?
Yeah.
He's one of them.
Yeah. So a few players have tried that when I've been trying to interview them over the years. On the interview, they said, I heard your commentary last week, and they tried to. I think you did once upon a time. No, you're too much of a champion. Here's Jesus. Plays back into Granit Xhaka into the heart of the midfield. Tierney is there. To his right is Partey. 2-1 Arsenal on 5 Live. They've worked it across to Ben White. Then again he has space on the right. Finds Saka. Saka to Partey. This is being played in sort of second gear for Arsenal. The danger is when they go up through the gears, when they advance into the penalty area so quickly. Odegaard with a big switch. That's a lovely ball, 40-50 yards away to Jesus. Left-hand corner of the box. Tierney arrives. Tierney on the burst to the dead ball line, whips the cross, and Zuma's there to siphon it away. Left foot. Arsenal settled for the throw at 2-1 up.
I think just settling down, seeing it through to half-time Arsenal, getting in the changing room, have some time with the manager, just regroup a little bit after being so comfortable to now, you know, that they're not totally uncomfortable, but it's just on the edge a tiny bit, a little bit more than maybe what they'd like, and I think that would be a good first half for them.
Cross from Tierney into the West Ham box. Antonio's far side of the penalty, had chested it down. Arsenal fans to the right hand end of the ground thought it was a handball for a penalty. It wasn't, and as he tries to bring it away, he's impeded. It's a free kick, so a big cheer from the West Ham fans.
Yeah, Ben White just bringing the ball away. I think he just made a little bit too much contact with Antonio. But I think anything at the moment, the fans are going to have a little cheer, aren't they? Just to try and get behind their team, keep pushing them on.
They have a free kick, West Ham United. Busy week of football for you again on 5 Live Tuesday. Chelsea, Real Madrid in the second leg of the Champions League quarter-final. You've got updates of Napoli against Milan as well. On Sports Extra, by the way, that night live commentary of the Sunrisers Hyderabad against Mumbai Indians in that IPL. It's West Ham in possession. On the left-hand side, Ben Rama finds... We found Paqueta in the box. Surely that is offside against Cresswell. Now, Cresswell was 5 yards offside. The flag went up late, by the which time Cresswell has got a knock and has stayed down. And we've been talking about this for months and months and months. The flag stayed down too long, too late, and Cresswell, as a result, has got injured.
Well, we're almost, 20 yards to the side of the line of what the view that the linesman has, and it's very, very clear from this position that it's a blatant offside. It's a nice idea from Paqueta, plays it first time, but it's that far offside that the flag just should go straight up. It shouldn't enter into the next phase of play. And I think it's his own teammate. Souček just bumps into him. I don't know what he does to him. I think he catches him in the face. It was really clumsy how he did that. But if the flag goes up early, Souček doesn't make that run into the box. You see, it goes up, the whistle goes, and you don't end up going in there. And that one for me is certainly falls in that bracket of just be confident and get your flag up. That's your job as an assistant referee.
He looks a little bit groggy as we enter 3 minutes of stoppage time at the end of the first half. And of course, if there's any suspicion of concussion, he'll have to come off. Now, I'm not blaming the assistant referee because this is what they're told to do, but he's clearly offside. As we watch again on our little TV monitor in front of us, the Arsenal goals, they were sweeping into a 2-0 lead. Let's go back to the Bescott Stadium. Villa against Chelsea in that Women's FA Cup semi-final. Eleanor.
Still Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 0, but another huge chance for Lauren James. A low-driven shot from 20 yards out, but just wide of Hannah Hampton's goal. Villa, though, playing incredibly well to keep Chelsea as quiet as they have done. Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 0.
Long throw to be taken by so far for West Ham United. He's 25 yards from goal, right hand side of course. Now Cresswell's come back on the pitch far side, in comes the throw. Arsenal should deal with it. Saka got an edge on it, and then Martinelli clears. Kehrer 30 yards out from goal, diagonal pass to the right. Sofal is there with his short sleeve shirt, a little wristband on his left wrist, finds Rice arcs it up to the edge of the penalty area. Bowen away from goal, touches it off then towards Paqueta, follows the pass, looks for the return, and it's cleared away by Tierney at the expense of a corner. And West Ham United playing some good stuff here now, Matt.
They are better, getting hold of the ball. Nice pass, two players, Paqueta, Bowen, very good players, like to have the ball. Paqueta slides that ball inside Tierney. What I like about what Tierney did, he knew exactly where he was on the pitch. He knew what pass, the only pass that could hurt him really, and that was the one inside him for Bowen on the overlap, and he adjusted his position really early and just about dealt with it.
Corner ball for West Ham United. Bowen takes it towards the far post area. This is dangerous. Paqueta was arriving. They claim another corner, but I think it went off Zuma last, and it's going to be a goal kick for us, and they should have done enough now to see out the first half, leading by 2-1. Good start, but West Ham United have been on top for the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, certainly. Well back in the game, West Ham. And I think it's very hard at this stadium, isn't it? When there's a melee like that in the box, 6-yard box, it's almost impossible, isn't it, to identify who's touched what or who's going where. You're such a distance from the pitch.
About 120, 130 yards away we are from it, because it is an athletic stadium, of course. Might be remodelled, in years to come. You never know. In a more tight atmosphere, they'd have to do something with the pitch level. There's a huge gap from the dugouts out towards the near touchline technical areas. I beg your pardon, not dugouts anymore, are they? Old school there, a bit.
Old schooling it back.
Yeah.
Remember the old dugouts, like Perspex top, or
that's right. Yeah,
lovely, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
Kept you dry in the winter, warm.
Yeah,
not like benches today. You're open to the elements and all sorts.
First one I stood behind was at Ashton Gate, Bristol City 0, Derby 0. There was a fella next to me, he was swearing and shouting, and a man called Brian Clough came out the Derby dugout and told me I was a disgrace for my language. I never opened my mouth. They're the only words Brian Clough ever said to me in my life, Here's Saka for Arsenal, right hand side, touches it to Ben White, edge of the corner area, comes back to Saka, ran into a blind alley, and Paqueta away for West Ham to the strong running Antonio, holds off one challenge and the second, and the referee will put it back for the first, and that's a yellow card for Jesus, who was struggling to keep up with him there and needed more, I think, from his captain, who's also in hot pursuit, but Antonio's strength paved the way there.
Well, the moment he builds up a head of steam, Mikel Antonio, he's a tough man to stop. If he gets the wrong side of you and he's running at full tilt and he gets his arm across you, you have to foul him. There's no way of recovering that back, and Jesus, even though Odegaard was coming across, probably didn't need to foul him, could have just left it up to Odegaard, but didn't want to take that chance and just tripped him and picked up a yellow.
We've had 4 minutes, so an extra minute has been added to stoppage time. Oh, the ball passed square to Bowen, and the half-time whistle blows. That's where you can hear some boos from the West Ham fans, because they didn't do that well at all. But they have done well to get back into this game, because after 9 minutes they were 2-0 down. Jesus from close range after a lovely build-up goal, and then Odegaard found free beyond the far post, slammed in a good volley for 2. They got back into the game rather fortuitously when a penalty was awarded for a Gabriel challenge on Paqueta. Good decision. Had to wait a long time for VAR to rectify it, don't know why, and Benrahma struck it in. They've had a good end to what was a very poor first half for them initially.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they started quite brightly, West Ham. You'd expect them to be a bit flat, maybe a bit leggy, a bit tired from European exertions midweek, but they haven't played like that. The goals have come from maybe a poor bit of organisation, just switching off those details that they haven't done well enough with West Ham. But in terms of the energy and the pressing, and now as they've got back into the game, they've got some real life in them, and they've got players that can get about the pitch. They've got Antonio that can drive with the ball. So yeah, I think the second half's going to be interesting in what Mikel Arteta does with his Arsenal team. Loving this, Steve, at the moment. Arsenal 2-1 up, but West Ham making a real game of it. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it is good stuff, and I suppose from a neutral's perspective, Matt, the goal that West Ham scored has really helped. But what a gift! It proper revived the stadium as well. Yeah, it did. I mean, there was 20 minutes before that where it was almost just like a foregone conclusion what was going to happen in this game. It was it felt like it was over. Arsenal in such control, West Ham not really able to get hold of the ball, and just that little bit of pressure from Declan Rice. Took a gamble, went early. Sloppy from Thomas Partey to try that there for me. I don't think that's the area of the pitch where you try and flick it around someone, gets robbed with the ball, and all of a sudden you're in trouble, and the penalty happens. And what we've seen from them is exactly that. The stadium have come alive, the supporters have got behind the team, there's an extra spring in the step of the West Ham players, and now Arsenal have got a little bit of a game on their hands. Not that West Ham covered themselves in glory defensively either. No, absolutely not. Both goals. I mean, you might have an opinion, but I think Fabianski on the first one, I think the goalkeeper should be able to get a contact on the ball. The ball must be 2 yards away from the line, and it flashes right across the goal. To come out and just get a touch on the ball would have just prevented that goal. And the second one was just so sloppy at the back post. I think Benrahma just completely switches off, and Odegaard, you've left him free at the back post just to side foot the ball in with his left foot. I mean, it's poor defending from West Ham, and sloppy errors that have costed them all season. Given the two of you spent the last couple of minutes of that half just sort of reminiscing about the old days, I feel like we need to read some of the social media that we're getting from our listeners on 85058 and at 5Live Sport. Bruce has been in touch, Jonathan. Says, great to hear Jonathan Pearce, the best radio commentator of them all, doing the Arsenal game on 5 Live, reviving memories of the legendary Capital Gold sports days. Oh, lovely. Yeah, I think he's my cousin, to be honest. But anyway, they were great. I'll tell you why they were great days, Steve, because for 15 years we laughed. No. Every working day was hard. It was a little bit like the Wild West. We played hard, we worked hard, but we didn't half laugh. And you've got to do it. It's football. It's football. You've got to do it. They were fun days, great days. Alison says, I remember religiously listening to JP and Bobby Moore doing the London gigs, way ahead of its time. Oh, to be 17 again. And actually, Jonathan, one of our colleagues is a massive fan of yours, but particularly from those days. Manny Jasmine, for those who know, he's a BBC broadcaster, and he's totally blind, so he relies on BBC Radio, and he loved them as well. So there you go. Lovely, thank you everyone. I'm really touched by that. Is this the JP show? Absolutely. Are we now changing the programme? So did you get the 25 quid, Steve? I did, thank you very much. Well done. Matt, sorry, are you not getting enough attention? Well, that's what I mean. Any love want to come my way, more than welcome. 85058 at 5Live Sport. Thank you very much, Matt and Jonathan. Just wanted to read those because they were lovely messages. Great first half, really exciting. West Ham 1, Arsenal 2. We'll be looking ahead to the game later on today, which we're bringing you in full at 4:30. Nottingham Forest versus Manchester United. We're also keeping you up to date with the Women's FA Cup semi-final at the Bescot. Aston Villa, Chelsea, Ellen Ellard. Yeah, still Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 0, but the hosts have responded well to the Chelsea player and into their best spell of the match so far as they look to make their first FA Cup final. Rachel Daly has come really close, leaping on top of a ball centre of goal, but just couldn't get it over the line. Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 0. Thank you, Ellen. Quick reminder as well, you can watch that on BBC One, and you can listen on 5 Live Sports Extra. We'll have more on the County Championship, Rugby Union Premiership action, and the snooker from the Crucible after the latest news on 5 Live with Alison Hughes.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The Royal College of Nursing is warning that strike action in England could continue until Christmas if a pay deal isn't reached with the government. Ministers insist the offer on the table is fair and reasonable, though they haven't said whether it's the final offer. Patricia Marquis, who's England director of the RCN, says its members have sent a clear message to the government.
Nursing is a really important group of people, and they are one that, in the past, the government has demonstrated it respected, and now it has to listen again to what nursing is saying, which is nursing and the NHS, it's in a crisis. We're very clear that we have to continue with action until we know that there is a better deal on the table.
Motoring groups are welcoming Minister's decision to cancel plans to construct new smart motorways. The routes use technology to regulate traffic and sometimes use the hard shoulder as an extra lane. Campaigners want all smart motorways to be scrapped. Here's the Conservative Party chairman, Greg Hands.
We will not approve any new smart motorways, clearly as a result of public concern and safety concern, and we're going to keep a close eye on the situation with the existing smart motorways. But at the moment, the announcement is purely about no new smart motorways.
The SNP is insisting the party is solvent, despite reports in the Sunday Times that it may be facing bankruptcy. The paper claims the SNP's treasurer, Colin Beattie, told a meeting of its National Executive Committee that falling numbers of donors and members meant it was struggling to balance the books. The party says some quotes have been taken out of context. Hundreds of Amazon workers in Coventry have begun a 3-day strike over pay. Further action is planned from Friday. And in India, a former politician who'd been convicted of kidnapping has been shot dead live on TV along with his brother. Atiq Ahmed, who was under a police escort, was killed while answering questions from journalists. After the shooting, 3 men who'd been posing as reporters surrendered and were taken into custody.
6 Music.
Oof, banger, busting clouds left, right and centre. Start your day. You need a bit of audio sunshine? Don't worry, we have got you covered. The 6 Music Breakfast Show with Lauren Laverne. Putting the music together as we go, which is, for us, part of the fun. Music beyond the mainstream. You can really hear that beautiful analogue production. Some of our favourites and some brilliant selections courtesy of the 6 Music listeners. The 6 Music Breakfast Show with Lauren Laverne. Weekday mornings from 7:30. Listen on Sounds. 6 Music. More live Premier League football than anyone else.
5 Lives Premier League Sunday
with Steve Crossman.
West Ham 1, Arsenal 2 in the Premier League. Arsenal, as it stands, going 6 points clear at the top. We've got second half commentary on the way already today. Celtic got back their 12-point lead over Rangers with a convincing 4-1 win at Kilmarnock. That means Celtic are 2 wins away from securing the title. Elsewhere, Callum Davidson has, quote-unquote, mutually left his job as manager of St Johnstone. They've only won twice in 2023 and they are 4 points above the relegation zone. And Ciro Immobile, the Lazio and Italy forward, is in hospital after his car was involved in an accident with a tram in Rome. In the snooker, we've got 2 former champions in first round action at the World Championships in Sheffield at the Crucible. Jamie Broughton.
Yes, we're watching the 2010 champion Neil Robertson and the 3-time winner Mark Williams. Robertson resumed his first round match against China's Wu Yize today, leading by 6 frames to 3. He took the opening frame with a century break to lead 7-3, and he's about to make it 8-3 as well. He's on a break of 95 as I speak. Meanwhile, Williams has just claimed the first frame in his match against Jimmy Robertson, and earlier today the 2015 champion Stuart Bingham booked his place in the next round with a 10-4 win over David Gilbert, while Ding Junhui finished 5-4 up against Hossein Vafaei after the opening session of their first round match.
Jamie, thank you. You can watch all the sessions on the BBC website and iPlayer. Coverage of the afternoon session is on BBC 2 until 6 p.m. Let's go into the county championship now. Surrey playing Hampshire. Kevin Howells is at the Oval.
Steve, you may remember Surrey only managed to draw last week in their opener away to Lancashire, so looking for a win today. Their target for the defending champions to chase down against Hampshire, 243, a nice steady start at 54 for no wicket with Burns and Sibley, the not-out pair. Earlier, Dan Worrell taking 5 wickets in Hampshire's second innings of 258. Nick Gubbins making an 84. Just a couple of stories from elsewhere. A win for Northants over Middlesex by 7 wickets, and James Anderson, his first game of this Ashes summer, leading the Lancashire attack away to Essex statistics today. The home side set 340 to win. They're 24 for 2, and for a second time in the match, Anderson has trapped his former England captain Alistair Cook, LBW, today without scoring.
Kevin, thank you very much. The teams are taking to the field at Welford Road in Rugby Union's Premiership. Leicester Tigers at home to Exeter Chiefs. James Burridge.
Where the spotlight, Steve, is on Chris Ashton, the Premiership's all-time leading try scorer, who announced his retirement this week at the end of the season. He has just a few Premiership games left. He's on 98 tries. He's desperate to make the magic 100 in what is likely to be his last home game at Welford Road. He'll be trying to help Leicester win their 6th straight game against an Exeter side high on confidence after reaching the European semi-finals. They've got theirs against La Rochelle at the end of the month. They've got an impressive record too, though, against the Tigers. They've only lost 2 out of their last 10.
James, I'm told you watched Chris Ashton in his very first rugby union game.
They've got to go back to 2007, Steve. You'll remember he signed from Wigan, and Northampton, who he signed for, had been relegated into National League One. And I'm not joking. That day, he literally touched the ball and scored with his first touch. And you just got the sense, even then, he was unbelievably quick. He went on to break the record in National 1. He got 39 tries that season. The rise was pretty meteoric. I think, in fairness, if you ask Chris, he'll say he struggled in his first year in the Premiership, but from then on, it was meteoric. 3 Premiership titles, 2 Champions Cup titles, 44 England games. He created the Ash Splash. He's had a fair few bans too, and the combination of which has meant he's sometimes been loved and loathed in equal measure. But that career, his character has meant he's always grabbed the headlines.
James, thank you very much indeed. You can listen to that match via the BBC Sport website. Just go on the Rugby Union page. If you want to watch France-Scotland in the Women's Six Nations, that's on BBC Scotland and the BBC Sport website, and it gets underway in 15 minutes' time. Nottingham Forest Manchester United is our second commentary today on Premier League Sunday. It's a 4:30 kickoff. Our correspondent John Murray is there. Afternoon, John.
Yes, good afternoon, Steve.
This will be very interesting. Let's start with Manchester United, given what we witnessed at Old Trafford in the week.
Yes, and obviously missing players as a result of that. So no Martinez, who might be out for the rest of the season with this metatarsal, as it turned out to be late in the game when everything was going wrong for Manchester United. No Varane either, so I'm guessing it'll be Maguire and Lindelof as the 2 central defenders today. And for the first time in the Premier League this season, Manchester United do not have Marcus Rashford available because of his injury, although, as Eric Ten Hag told us the other night, the hope is that he might be available for the second leg in Seville on Thursday night. But you know, at the same time, Nottingham Forest have got a long list of injuries and their long list of players. But I can't help but look at the midfield that Manchester United could potentially have today. So, you know, Casemiro's available, Eriksen, Bruno Fernandes, Scott McTominay I think is going to be available today, Fred as well. Sabitzer of course as well. They are very strong despite all of the injuries. They're very strong in that area, and you never know, that might be enough to win them this game.
We're at that time of the season where you don't want to write anybody off, so I'm tempted to say that results went Manchester United's way yesterday because Newcastle and Spurs lost. All of a sudden Aston Villa and Brighton are around there as well, so they're going to have a strong end to the season.
Yes, they are. Although, you know, the way that they're faltering in those positions, and Manchester United have not won away since, it's a couple of months now. It's actually 2 months since they last won away, Manchester United. And of course, in that time, lost at Newcastle, lost 7-0 at Liverpool. And the other thing to say as well about Nottingham Forest, despite where they are in this run that they're on, which is 9 matches in a row without a win, just 3 points in that time, actually, their home record that we keep talking about, it's still very good. They've lost only 1 of their last 11 home Premier League matches. You know, that's not bad at all. You know, so they're struggling for goals, but they've produced some notable wins here, and very often they've produced performances against the better teams as well.
John, thank you very much. Yeah, the noise at the City Ground, you can bet that's going to be very positive regardless. Shortly we'll be back at the London Stadium, which hasn't been the case when West Ham are struggling, and remember they are behind to Arsenal. What about the sounds of the Bescot Stadium in the Women's FA Cup semi-final? Ellen Ellard.
Well, it's been a brilliant first half. It is still, though, Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 0, as the hosts try and make their first FA Cup final in front of 5,000 fans. Lauren James has been the bright spark for Chelsea. All the attacking moves are going through her, but Hannah Hampton and the Villa defence have really stood their ground against the holders, and towards the end of the first half came incredibly close to finding the opener with great efforts from Rachel Daly and Lucy Staniforth, whose looping effort from distance was palmed away by the Chelsea keeper diving to her left. But at half-time, Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 0.
Ellen, thank you very much. We've had some lovely messages about our commentary team at the London Stadium, but just to make sure my generation are appeased, here's the former Robot Wars commentator, Jonathan Pearce.
Here we go with Sergeant Bash about to get us up underway then in this second half. No, it was Paqueta actually. West Ham United in the claret and light blue, kicking from right to left, and it's 1-2. Arsenal ahead through Jesus and Odegaard in 9 minutes, and then the penalty by Benrahma 12 minutes from half-time for a much improved West Ham United. Gave the game a completely different complexion and gave the stadium a completely different noise, and West Ham United have a chance now to start the second half strongly. I'll run through the two teams for you in a moment, because they've got a long throw from Sofal into the box, headed on by Zuma, and holding, stretching, had to go away for Arsenal for a West Ham United corner. Matt?
Yeah, there's a different feel around this ground, and even coming out after half-time, you just sense that West Ham really do feel or smell something where they can get back into this game, and I think they're just going to try and launch the ball into the box, like that long throw, like this corner, as often as possible, and just ask the question of Arsenal.
They have 11 men back, Arsenal, all in black. In comes the corner kick, and it's, I think, headed through the box by an Arsenal player, who goes away for another corner. It might have been Rob Holding who got the touch.
Yeah, just glanced off the top of Holding's head. He's backpedaling, he doesn't get much purchase on the ball, but enough just to take it off the path of Antonio, who was just arriving behind him, and it's gone out for another corner across the other side with Cresswell on an outswinger with his left foot.
Runs from 2 or 3 yards away to hit it and whips it away towards the near post area. It's headed away back in there by White, not fully cleared. They'll look to the left hand side and try and find Cresswell again, but Jesus is there and lets the ball run out of play. So I'll just run through the two teams for you. West Ham United with Fabianski in goal, Sofal, Zuma, Kehra, who came into the team today. Ogbonna's not fit, and Cresswell. And then in midfield, Bowen, Souček, Rice and Benrahma. He came into the side as well for Niles, and Paqueta replacing Ings with Antonio up front. Arsenal all in black, taking their time on this, and the referee David Coote has just given a little whistle and a warning to Ben White as he cleared it away. The throw in hooked back in by Zuma to the edge of the penalty area. Holding felt he was fouled by Antonio. Antonio scoops a deep cross too high, didn't look, and got much too much loft on it. So away towards that far side, and Sofal has fouled his man. The Arsenal team, Ramsdale in goal, White Holding, Gabriel Tierney, Odegaard, Partey, Saka, Jesus, Martinelli.
Well, I think Antonio did actually have a little look up, JP. He just didn't execute it with his left foot. It was on his wrong foot, and he just had to just clip that ball into the middle of the box. There was a couple of West Ham players arriving, but he got way too much contact on it and just like drifted it across over the back post almost. But it was a good chance. You know, they've not been in those areas that often in this game. They've got to make sure the quality when they get in those areas, West Ham, is better.
Zuma lets the ball run back to his goalkeeper, but the referee has pulled it back for a free kick to Arsenal. About 10 yards outside that West Ham United penalty area, left of centre, and they'll send up the big centre backs now. Not that they've been regular goal scorers this season. Gabriel has 3, mind you. Rob Holding has just the 1. It came against Bodo Glimt in Europe back in October. Ben White has got a couple recently, and it's going to be a free kick that Odegaard will take. Gabriel is to his right hand side, saying something into his ear, and now he runs away towards this near touchline. Does Gabriel, look like a high jump runner there with his long stride, high knee action stride to the edge of the D. He's poised there with a gaggle of 4 players around him. Odegaard waits to take the free kick. Now it comes into the penalty, headed away by Rice, swept by Saka, and a big deflection. Took it wide, might have gone off Souček there, but it's a corner kick anyway to Arsenal.
Well, there was a lot of jostling for position in the West Ham box. I mean, there was probably 5 or 6 players all just grappling each other. It gets headed away. Saka reads it brilliantly onto the back post area and just volleys it first time with his left foot. It was goalward bound, but big deflections just put it wide for a corner.
They haven't had a shot on target since they scored the goal. Here's Bukayo Saka with the corner kick here for Arsenal on the right hand side. into the near post area, headed back across goal, looking for Jesus' far side, cleared only as far as Odegaard. Martinelli whips it, got in front of Odegaard, whipped it into the penalty area, hit it on. The referee had a long think about it. Arsenal appealed very loudly and en masse, and a penalty is given. Antonio, I think it was, who it hit.
I mean, we'll see from the replay. It's so hard to tell from here, but I mean, I just don't think that's a penalty. It does hit Antonio's arm, but he's coming out to block this one. He turns side on, and the ball just hits him. It's literally a yard away that Martinelli hits that ball. I mean, nearly every game we have these handball decisions at the moment and conversations, and I'm not too sure what Mikel Antonio can do in that position. The only thing he can do is not try and shut the ball down. And none of us want to see that. We want to see players going out, committing into those situations where you throw your body in the way to get a block at the edge of your own box, and to get penalised with a handball from that kind of range, where his arm, okay, is outstretched from his body, but that's his natural position at that moment in time. And I just think that there's an inability to understand what that is. And I can see why the West Ham players are just really dejected with that decision. I just don't understand it.
Well, the referee gave it. It has been checked by VAR, and so obviously there's not enough clear and obvious error in the referee's decision for them to change it. Gabriel Jesus held the ball. At the last moment, he's given it to Saka, who of course has been a regular penalty taker as well. Backs away 4 paces. Will run from right to left to attack this, but Arsenal 3-1 up in a crucial game for both clubs. We've been playing 51 minutes. Saka stuttering run, balloons the penalty wretchedly wide.
Wow, that is a turn up for the books. Bukayo Saka from the penalty spot, rock solid. He's been in that situation many times for Arsenal, but this one he just goes to Fabianski's right, so he opens his body out with his left foot and tries to bend it kind of midway up the goal in that far side, very similar to the side that Salah missed that penalty against Arsenal last weekend. He just hit it mid-goal height, and it's probably a foot or so wide. He tries to place it in the corner, and listen to the noise now around this stadium. Really got the West Ham fans off their seats.
Haunting memories of penalty shootout drama and tears in the European Championship final, and now he'll have haunting memories of the London Stadium if this comes back to bite Arsenal and they drop points here. Let's go to the Premiership Rugby. Leicester Tigers against Exeter Chiefs at Welford Road. James Burridge.
Leicester leading by 7 points to 0 after Dan Kelly scored in the right-hand corner. Beautiful run, mazy run by Andre Pollard, the Leicester fly half through the midfield, scooped the ball up, passed it to Kelly, and he converted. 7-0 to Leicester, 10 minutes gone.
As they chase down on Sale above them. It's going to be a throw to West Ham on the right. Who's that down for Arsenal? Jesus is... No, it's... Who is it? Is it Jesus on that far side? Matt, I think it is. I
can't see.
He's down on his haunches. It is Gabriel Jesus. One boot is off on his right-hand side. His right boot is off. And let's see how he got it. He tussled there with Sofalis behind him, and as he stumbled, Sofal just caught him on the top of his foot.
Yeah, inadvertently. Kind of on his heel, wasn't it? He just stamped down on him. Both looking at the ball, just a tangle of legs, but enough to just pull the boot straight off Jesus' foot and just probably leave him with a nasty scrape down the back of his Achilles.
He's okay now. West Ham fans boo him because he raced away. Penalty miss, the big story of the second half so far on 5 Live, with Arsenal leading by 2-1. Kehrer lobs back into the Arsenal box. It comes to Bowen. It's a brilliant effort. It's a stunning goal. All level. Arsenal looked to a flag that didn't come. One high ball undid the league leaders when Thilo Kehrer lobbed back into the box after they failed to clear from the right-hand side. And there was Jarrod Bowen getting in behind, and he swept in a glorious volley. 2-2.
Well, these moments we're seeing here, how big are they going to be in this Premier League season? How big a meaning is that penalty miss and this goal from Jarrod Bowen going to be? It's a simple ball back over the top. It's a long throw into the box. It gets cleared by Gabriel, and then it's literally hooked straight back over. There's a couple of players running out who are offside, but Bowen he's certainly onside, and he times it to perfection. He just holds his run, looped back over by Kehrer. It's just a lobbed ball over the top of his left foot, and he comes on the volley. Bowen connects with his left foot, and he just stubs it into the ground towards that near post. There's a slight touch from Aaron Ramsdale, who perhaps is going to be a little bit disappointed with that. He gets a touch on the ball, but not enough to steer the ball wide of the goal, and it hits the post and goes in, and really does put Arsenal right on the back foot.
All those years ago, I believe his dad Sam had a trial at West Ham, didn't make it. West Ham United fans so pleased that they went for Jarrod Bowen and signed him from Hull in January 2020. Made it big time with goals like that. Here's Martinelli though for Arsenal with a shooting chance from the edge of the penalty area. It's a terrific game at 2-2.
Well, it really has thrown the game into turmoil. To think West Ham have come back from 2-0 down so early on, and we're now looking at Bowen, who's gone down in his own penalty box, clutching his left thigh or left groin. Doesn't look happy at all. Whether or not it's just when he adjusts position, he was shutting Martinelli down, and he slips as Martinelli changes direction to come inside. And I think he's just overstretched his left groin a little bit. He's up on his feet and just jogging off, but the noise ringing around this stadium, and David Moyes in the technical area barking instructions onto the pitch for his players.
This is where the stadium can be terrific. In West Ham United's 250th London derby, 117 defeats in that time, more than any other London club has suffered in derby matches of this side. I think we've got a try for James Burridge.
Leicester now leading by 14 points to 0. Jonathan Jack Van Poorvliet combining brilliantly with Chris Ashton down the right-hand touchline. The try converted by Pollard, and Leicester cruising here, 14-0.
4 places above Exeter they were at the start of play. Now Jesus has gone down again to his knees, this time holding the back of his head. You can hear what the West Ham fans think about it. Boos ringing around this stadium. They love a London derby, West Ham fans. This isn't the most spiteful of them. West Ham against Tottenham, West Ham against Chelsea has more spite, I can tell you. But here come West Ham United with Bowen now. In comes the low cross, fitting through the 6-yard area, through a hesitant, creaky, vulnerable looking Arsenal defence.
Well, this is a big moment for Arsenal. They've got to stay in this game. They've got to keep this at 2-2 and hope to get hold of the ball and get some rhythm again. West Ham really knocking at the door. This time Bowen again down that right hand side, gets to the byline, crosses the ball straight across the 6-yard box line. No West Ham player in the right position to tap it in, but Arsenal certainly creaking at the moment.
Ben White's throw was a poor one to Saka at an awkward height, and Declan Rice, who set the pattern for the game in the first 30 seconds with 2 snap challenges before Arsenal swept into that lead, has come out in this second half firing as well as Declan Rice can do, and he's got space on the edge of the penalty if they can work that throw to him. They don't, and Saka will run it off Paqueta, and Arsenal will have a throw in and probably try and just calm things down a bit.
Yeah, I mean, he's really led by example in this game, hasn't he, Declan Rice? Because West Ham haven't had that much of the ball. What he's done out of possession, as you mentioned, JP, right from the start of the game, he set the tone for the rest of the team in how they want to press and how they want to go about the game, and they've done that pretty much all game. And that's another example there of when he does press, Declan Rice, he really does go all out, and he's very accurate with where he steps in and how he anticipates where the pass or the player's going to go, and very often does affect the ball.
Influential, inspirational captain. They've had a few here over the years. Mark Noble, Billy Bonds, Alvin Martin, all inspirational leaders of men. In comes the ball from Paqueta towards Antonio. West Ham well on top, and Arsenal under the weather, knowing that Manchester City started the day 3 points off them with the game in hand, and the ball is cleared into the West Ham United half and rolled back to the goalkeeper Fabianski. They'll have a game in hand, I should say. After this, the ball is headed forward by Holding into the centre circle. Paqueta tried to nod it straight through to Antonio. It would have been clear, you know, but Gabriel was there.
It's a poor header, wasn't it? Fell to probably the wrong player in terms of using his head. Not one of his strengths, Paqueta, in terms of in the air, but if he just heads that ball high and over the back four, it didn't need to be accurate, just in an area of the pitch behind the back four. Antonio anticipated it, was on his bike already. They really have got a full head of steam up now, West Ham, and really dominating this 5-minute spell.
They're winning the 50-50s. Paqueta turns into space. Odegaard can't go with it. Attacking from the right-hand side. Bowen attacking the penalty area just between two. Tierney got a foot on it. Ricochets up, and Partey for Arsenal will try and calm things down and bring it away. Here's Saka. Jesus is playing left side, very deep on that far side. Tried to find Martinelli to hold it up. He couldn't. And that simply slammed, half volleyed forward from Gabriel to the centre circle area where Saka leaps. Couldn't climb above Kehrer and win the ball. West Ham have it there. 2-2 with the league leaders approaching the hour on 5 Live on the BBC, where Celtic won 4-1 at Kilmarnock earlier. You'll remember a tight Women's FA Cup semi-final between the Villa and Chelsea was 0-0 the last I heard, and we'll keep you up to date with that. Leicester Tigers 14, Exeter Chiefs 0 scoreline in the Premiership Rugby. Here's Jesus, and Arsenal have it on the halfway line. It's been a momentous week for sport again, with Aintree, of course, the ups and downs, the winners and losers, more losers in my case, I'm afraid to say. But at the winner of the National again, Matt, which is lovely.
You had the winner?
Yeah, I did.
Did you?
Yeah, 7 years in a row. I'm just saying, I mean, I'm not blowing my own trumpet,
by
but 7 years in a row.
Is that an accurate thing, or is it just close your eyes and pick one?
No, I would say
measured
brilliance, I would say.
Modest.
Yes, brilliant.
Very modest.
It is pure luck. Anyway, West Ham have a throw on the left-hand side to be taken then by Chilwell. Paqueta has it and heads forward tamely, and Partey can now find Kieran Tierney in the side because Zinchenko has a groin problem, not deemed to be serious. Partey angles it to the edge of the box, looking for Jesus, headed away by Kieran. Good header away actually, because he's facing his own goal line when he headed it out. Now so far launches long and into the Arsenal half, where Gabriel wanted his goalkeeper to come. He's never going to come out there, and Gabriel needed to deal with it better than he did, and good hassling by Bowen. Gabriel eventually clears it away, deflects off Bowen. Listen to the West Ham fans, they love that, they love a trier here.
I don't understand why Gabriel just doesn't pass the ball back to Aaron Ramsdale. And the moment he gets control of it, he's got this, the angles there with his right foot just to play it straight back to him. Instead he takes it into the corner flag. He's got a man breathing down his neck, and then he gets forced to clear the ball. Just these little things. They're a little bit ruffled, aren't they, Arsenal? Not that smooth, well-oiled, composed machine that we saw in the opening 25 minutes of this game.
Gabriel is rattled. He went shoulder to shoulder with Antonio and headed the ball out of play, but if he goes shoulder to shoulder with Antonio, who's so strong, he's not going to win that one. It's going to be a throw to West Ham United, and Arsenal don't need to get sucked into a fight. They need to keep the distance and jab efficiently, in football terms, get involved in a brawl.
It's a scrap now though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a scrap. In comes the throw in. Again, Gabriel's beaten in the air by Zuma, was it in there? Yeah, it was Zuma, and he heads it out of play simply for a goal kick. 2-2, 5 Live. Good game this.
Yeah, foot on the ball time, I think, for Arsenal. Mikel Arteta just consulting with his staff in the technical area, wondering how he's going to get a hold of this game, because they can't afford to drop points here, really. You look at the games they've got and you look at the form of Manchester City. Dropping points here for Arsenal would be a real problem, and I think he has to do something in this game to get them back on track to controlling possession and creating chances.
Trying to play out from the back, they nearly gave West Ham United another opportunity for Paqueta to find Souček, but it was overplayed and through for the goalkeeper to clear it away. Now here is Saka, will be with the Women's FA Cup semi-final in a moment, because Arsenal have a promising attack. It's Saka back on his square, 10 yards away. Partey occupying centre field, halfway inside the West Ham half, finds Tierney to his left, and further wide on the left-hand touch is Martinelli, well balanced for a winger, give and go with Saka, pulls it back here then towards Tierney at 2-2, rolls square to his right-hand side. Partey just on the ball. This attack is still gathering momentum for Arsenal, so we'll stay here just for the moment. Partey has it, finds Ben White on the right-hand side. West Ham United now have plenty of bodies back, should deal with it and don't deal with it, and he could get a cross in here from Tierney towards Jesus. Comes all the way through to Saka. Saka inside the penalty area, chips back to the far post, and it's headed up and over the bar for a corner kick. And let's go to the Women's FA Cup semi-final at Ellen Lennart.
Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 0, but the holders have come out flying in the second half. Kanjukovic with a brilliant effort, hitting the right post within 25 seconds. Hannah Hampton unnerved though, and has just made a brilliant save from a free kick. Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 0.
If Villa can do that, that will be such a stunning result and such a mark of their progress in the women's game. They're having a very good season, and it would be a telling point in the history of women's football at Aston Villa Football Club. It's going to be a corner kick now for Arsenal after that sustained pressure on the left-hand side. It'll be Martinelli to hoik it in towards the far post. Souček was back defending. Saka is there to nod down in the box. It's won first of all by Kera, and here's Antonio pounding the turf. 10, 15, 20 yards. Saka can't stay with him. Antonio to the edge of the penalty area. Tierney's gone across with him, and then eventually Antonio cleverly forces it off Saka for a throw-in. Goodness me, carried some distance there.
Yeah, it was a marauding run, wasn't it? The type of run that you're used to seeing him make. Like you say, once he gets that head of steam up and the space is in front of him, he's a hard customer to reel back in, and he gets his body, uses his arms so well just to hold players off, and really got West Ham high up the pitch there, and now got a throw-in and the possibility of crossing the ball.
Oh, that's a silly offside. Throw-in easily played offside by Arsenal, and West Ham have conceded ground there. Now Gabriel Jesus is going to depart for Arsenal and be replaced by Jorginho. That's a defensive move, but also Leandro Trossard is going to come on for Partey, so it is ultimately like for like, just the way they've done it. But booze for Jesus. He has his goal again. He wanted to take the penalty, or was that just to protect Saka from West Ham players coming around him and pressurising him? But anyway, Saka took it, went wide, and moments later it was 2-2.
Yeah, it's a big moment, isn't it, in this game? Like I said, maybe in the Premier League season, but Trossard coming on off the bench, who's been super effective in that role for Arsenal. His assist level coming on as a substitute is absolutely brilliant. So they're going to need a little bit of something from him in this game, maybe just to tip it over the line. And Jorginho, well, in terms of getting hold of the ball and keeping it ticking and getting it moving, there aren't too many better than him.
World Club champion with Chelsea, Champions League winner with Chelsea, Europa League winner with Chelsea, Cup winner with Napoli. He knows how to settle things down at the business end of the season. They were world champions 16 months ago. Chelsea, they're now not guaranteed finishing topside in their own London borough this season. How things turn in football in such a short while.
Be interesting if he would take a penalty if he was on the pitch as well.
Oh, he's got a terrific penalty record, hasn't he? Look at this pressure from West Ham. They want to throw in at another. Jorginho dwelt on it there. Mikel Arteta, his face is quite calm to look at, but actually if you look at it and study it, it's fury.
You can tell inside there's a lot going on, you know, and he's not wearing it in terms of he's not that animated today. I think when you see him at home a lot, he's in that technical area and he's in that kind of squat position and bouncing about the place. He's quite still today, but you can see on his face, like you just mentioned, JP, that he's frustrated in this game. He must be, because Arsenal were in such control and now they're massively on the back foot.
It is deja vu after last week at Anfield for Arsenal. 2 up, 2-2. Same thing here. There was just a moment ago, by the way, the referee, good use of the advantage, and Arsenal got away. They didn't get anything of it, but Declan Rice clumped into Odegaard with a challenge. About 20 yards into the Arsenal half it was. Just a little old-fashioned rattler to let him know he was there. West Ham play out, right corner of the box is Zuma. Zuma lifts it high into Arsenal territory. Tierney braces himself, balances himself, heads to the far side. Sort of ball coming out of the air you used to hate if you played Sunday morning football in the wet and rain and sleet, and it came out of the sky and you mistimed it, it crunched against your nose.
Well, you'd have just plucked it out of the air, JP, surely.
I'd have
cushioned it, one touch,
yeah, bang,
no bother.
Probably, you know, bang. Might have been it, mate. But,
and then on the overlap.
Yeah, then I would have woken up. Is West Ham United, left-hand touchline with Paqueta trying to guide it through. Again, he hasn't had the best of opportunities. He acknowledges that was a mistake by him. And to put it into context, when he was at Lyon, he was deemed to be the much better player than Bruno Guimaraes. And look what Guimaraes has done now. When he plays for Brazil, Paqueta's a different beast. He's terrific there.
He's come into a different environment now, hasn't he? You look at the environment that Guimaraes went into at Newcastle. They've kind of rebuilt, and they're in that style of play, and they're in that flow. And I think he's come to West Ham at a time where they're struggling a bit, and that reflects in his individual performance as well.
He's giving the ball away there with a square pass, and Saka can race away, crossing the halfway line. He's got Odegaard in support. Trossard far side. It's still a 3-on-2. West Ham getting bodies back. Are they too late? Saka with a tame shot straight into the hands of the goalkeeper. It wasn't a good effort. It lacked confidence, and I think you can go back to the penalty, and the penalty missed for the reason he lacked confidence there.
He had a lot of time, didn't he, to think about it. Steals the ball very early on. It's a poor square pass. You give away a square pass there, put your team right in trouble. But Saka doesn't take full advantage. They get back well, West Ham. He's got Odegaard, Trossard in the box as options. He cuts inside onto his favoured left foot, but the effort on goal had no real purpose or power or direction, really, and very easy for Fabianski just to pluck that one up.
2-2 with 20 minutes to go. Don't forget, you can see it all on Match of the Day 2, 10:30 BBC One. Chappers, Nader Manua and Jill Scott. Love the coverage from Mark and the team out there in Augusta at the Masters. So pleased that you could hear all that unfold on 5 Live, and it was a terrific drama again. I never had the winner of that one, the Masters. I did have a little tickle on it, I must admit. I backed about 3 each way, and I did get a little each way payout. Not that I'm advocating gambling, but when you back about 84 players on the field,
surely one's going to work out for you. Yeah. Did you go McIlroy?
I did back McIlroy.
Did you?
Unfortunately, yeah. Now Antonio's bundled into a challenge. I backed John Rahm, and Arsenal have it inside their own half, and out wide towards this near touchline. So I was joyful on Rahm. Here's Jorginho, right side of the centre circle, long clean ball away to Martin, a good ball away from Martinelli as he finds Tierney. Just patient build up here for Arsenal at 2-2. Tierney to the left hand touchline, Martinelli back to the halfway line, and Gabriel once again they're just gathering momentum. Trossard to advance inside left position, rolls a diagonal ball out to the lime booted Martinelli, strokes in field to Tierney. They're just keeping possession here. Will be off any moment now to the City ground and get team news from Johnny Murray as Odegaard has it for the Arsenal, finds Trossard, drops his shoulder, wends his way to the left hand side of the penalty area. Here's Martinelli, still has possession. West Ham with plenty of bodies back at 2-2 on 5 Live. Trossard into Odegaard, back again to Martinelli. Are they just going up through the gears here now? It's Odegaard for Arsenal, back to the left hand touchline. Trossard can measure his cross, in it comes and headed away by Zuma. Let's have that team news from the City ground. Forest against Manchester United. John Murray.
Well, 4 changes for Forest. Lodi is fit, and so is Niakate, which wasn't expected. So Freuler, Awani and McKenna come in. Worrell, Shelby and Toffolo are on the bench. Kouyaté is out injured. And for Manchester United, 3 changes. Maguire and Lindelof as expected in for the injured central defenders. And Malacia is absent, so it is Dalot who will be at left back. Other than that, it is as Manchester United were when they started against Sevilla.
And they can put a gap between them and Newcastle United, who lost yesterday. So did Tottenham as well in that battle for top 4 places. Forest have a chance to get out of the relegation zone, of course, and leave Everton in a bit of a sorry state for a club of that history and size. As Odegaard for the league leaders tried to poke it through to the edge of the penalty area and find Trossard, and it's cleared away. We've got a goal, Bescott Stadium, the FA Cup semi-final. Villa women against Chelsea, and here's Ellen Ellard.
Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 1. A brilliant goal from Sam Kerr, who was lurking at the back post and got her head on a brilliant Guro Wrighton cross to put the holders ahead. Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 1.
Sam Kerr had to be, didn't it? Premiership Rugby, Leicester Tigers, Exeter Chiefs. James Burridge.
Still leading by 14 points to 5, but Exeter now on the score sheet. A blistering run from Sam Simmons, evaded 3 defenders, a touchdown to the left of the post. They missed the conversion, but they're back in the contest. 14-5 Leicester with 12 till half time.
Sounds a tight contest in the making there. We've certainly got a tight contest here at 2-2 with 16 minutes to go. As we look down on a little shot of the Arsenal dugout down below us, and Emil Smith-Rowe is sitting down there amongst the Arsenal substitutes. No sort of a season for him because of injury. They have attacking options in Eddie Nketiah, fit again. He's there, been out for about a month. Reece Nelson is there as well. Fabio Vieira is there. If they want to push on for the win, I don't think at this stage of the season they'd settle for a 2-2 at West Ham.
No, I mean it's time for a cool head. It has to be said. I mean, we're 74 minutes into the game. There's plenty of time for them to put something together, but they have to stay calm, not panic, not get too desperate. You then start to make decisions on the pitch that just aren't the ones you'd naturally make. They've got to be careful they don't slip into that trap, Arsenal.
But if they don't win the game, has the pendulum swung very much Manchester City's way?
Well, I think, of course, 2 points dropped, isn't it, coming to West Ham in the form that Arsenal are in, the form that West Ham are in. And you think, well, Arsenal are going to win this game. And the game started like that. We all sat back and thought, oh, well, OK, can see what direction this is going. But this is why the Premier League is what it is. A game can just turn on its head. And this one is a prime example of that.
Only last week I was interviewing Pep Guardiola after the win down at Southampton. And he said that he'd much rather be in Arsenal's position. But things have changed so quickly. And surrendering 2 goals once and twice in a row.
Yeah.
Ask questions of your staying power at this stage of the season. Now, here's Trossard turning 30 yards from goal. Just lobs the ball away towards Ben White. But across to cover has been Cresswell. Only his second league start since mid-January, Aaron Cresswell. And he's stood up to the task well. He had a little bit of cramp moments ago. He's okay now. Ben White will take it. Listen to 5 Live from the BBC. 2-2 it is. Saka's crept in behind Cresswell, just stretched a leg high enough to get it away, and manipulates his thighs. He sort of kicks thin air just to get his old muscles tuned up again, and Arsenal have to throw into Trossard. Can't get beyond Declan Rice. Wherever you look, as Rice flicks it off Trossard and gets the throw in, wherever you look, Declan Rice is there.
Yeah, he's just got that instinct, hasn't he, as a player. Maturity beyond his years, and I know he's got a lot of appearances under his belt now, but right from the off, when he first came into the team, he's got that instinctive ability to sense danger, and he drops into position so early, reads the game immaculately, in my opinion. As a defensive midfield player, is absolutely superb, and they're packing that area of the pitch as well, West Ham. That little area that Odegaard loves to operate in, and Trossard. There's a lot of bodies in there now. For them to play that little intricate 1-2s in and around the edge of the box is going to be very difficult. West Ham are delighted with a point at the moment.
Ben Rama could be more than a point. Finds Bowen attacking the Arsenal penalty area. It's a terrific block back in there by Tierney. And then Gabriel looks at his midfield players and says, why weren't you covering back? And Tierney wants some help because I think he's got tinge of cramp.
Yeah, I think he's in a bit of trouble here, Tierney. He almost signalled saying he was in trouble. He's back up on his feet, but 1v1 with Bowen, who confidence has just grown in this game since that goal. Chops inside, back onto his left foot, and it's a good block from Kieran Tierney. Tough angle to score from, but another good break from West Ham. Much more direct in this second half, haven't they?
They scored from the penalty spot in the first half. Arsenal missed a chance to go 3-1 up from the spot through Saka just moments before West Ham level. They get a corner kick into the penalty area. West Ham, it's not cleared. Sosek tries to turn and is too strong as he closes down on the Arsenal defender, trying to bring it away. Holding, who's now been dragged into a wide position, cross back into the middle. The goalkeeper has to come and punch, and a flag is raised for offside. And as he came to punch there, Ramsdale came to punch. He's either he or Bowen's West Ham teammate crunched in to the international winger and has left him down inside the 6-yard area.
Well, he had to come here, Ramsdale. He had to come and claim this one. The ball's floated into the box. There's an offside flag up because I think Antonio, who then challenges for the ball, was offside, but Bowen comes from the tighter angle of the far post and really collides with Aaron Ramsdale. It was good goalkeeping, but certainly Antonio a good yard offside when the ball came in. But they just had the lion's share of the pressure in this second half, West Ham, really trying to take the game to Arsenal, almost kind of saying they're not content with the point. They feel they've got enough to win this game. They've just got to be a little bit careful that they do come away with a point, because it's going to be a valuable one to West Ham if they do achieve it.
But David Moyes would have seen so many positives here to encourage him in the belief that West Ham United can stay up. I don't think he's ever wavered from that belief. First of our two commentaries for you on 5 Live. Forest against Manchester United, with John Murray and Clinton Morrison to come a wee bit later on. And here's Cresswell deep inside his own half, turning it away neatly from Saka under pressure, and Kera turning inside Trossard so neatly. Now Zuma, opposed by Martinelli, got it away. Souček has asked a lot of Paqueta, who's gone to ground, but West Ham have done that brilliantly, and Benrahma hooks over the top of Holding and finds Antonio holding it up again for West Ham United. They can play up to him, he's their outball. Arsenal don't seem to have an outball at the moment. Trossard's very deep, right hand touchline, in then towards Saka. Saka turning, lays back to Jorginho, playing through the thirds Arsenal. Here's Xhaka to Saka, and bends a low pass away to Martinelli, hugging the far side. Tierney on the overlap, won't use him I don't think. Plays back instead to Jorginho. Odegaard coming square of him. 2-2, just over 10 minutes to go. Jorginho just slowing the pace of things down. Arsenal, while they press for a winner that they need in this dramatic chase with Manchester United for the title, they know 1 point is, of course, better than none. And here's Trossard into the penalty area. Martinelli had made the long run in from far side into the edge of the penalty area, or centre of the box I should say, but the ball just sneaks through to Fabianski. 2-2.
They haven't gone through the gears as quickly as what they normally do, Arsenal. When that ball turns over there and West Ham are up the pitch, you normally see really quick forward passing from Arsenal. It hasn't quite happened for them in this game, and they've allowed West Ham back in. Once they get set, they get numbers behind the ball, all of a sudden you've got a different problem to solve and unlock. And they, you know, that quick pass that Odegaard normally sees to put someone in behind, it just hasn't happened in this game.
Paqueta finds Benrahma as he gets the shot in from the right hand side again. Holding was the man who came out and blocked. Then he goes shoulder to shoulder with Benrahma, who's the stronger man. Rushes far post, Antonio! It flicks off the woodwork. West Ham could have been ahead.
Wow, what a chance. David Moyes spins away with his hands on his head. Brilliant play from Benrahma. First cross is blocked, but the way he uses his shoulder there just to nudge Rob Holding out the way, dinks it to the back post with his left foot. And Antonio with the header, well, if he just gets it underneath the crossbar, it's in the back of the net, he just powers it, not low enough, and it's off the corner of the crossbar.
I think had he'd scored, it would have been interesting if they'd gone to VAR, because he might have been offside. But anyway, it's 2-2, and we'll have an update from the Premiership Rugby. Leicester Tigers, Exeter Chiefs, and James Burridge once more.
Another try for Exeter, and a howler from Andre Pollard, the Leicester fly half. His crossfield kick taken very easy by Exeter by mistake, and Stuart Hogg taking the loose pass and scoring in the right-hand corner, converted from Joe Simmons. And even though Exeter are down to 14 men with a man in the bin, they're only now 17-12 down with 4 minutes to half-time.
Dramatic game there. And here is Holding. Holding for Arsenal, centre circle. Jorginho is there, looking left. He's got Tierney down the line. Gabriel was closer to him, but he works it back then to Rob Holding. Only 159 games for Arsenal in 7 years. Second fiddle for long times, injuries other times. Here's Odegaard, his captain. Odegaard had space to work the ball out wide to Martinelli, but it's a poor ball from him.
Wasn't quick enough, was it?
And he looked tired, didn't he, as he played it?
Normally, those balls are like bang. You know, this second nature. He sees it so early. That's the quality of Martin Odegaard, and hasn't happened in this game.
They have to hold their nerve. Manchester City have been there, done it, won it. They will have no problem in chasing Arsenal at this stage of the season, chasing them down. The pressure is on the Arsenal to keep top position in the Premier League. Here's Holding. Now Gabriel to his left-hand side. Gabriel ambles forward. Back it comes then towards Jorginho. 2-2, 7 minutes to go. Odegaard has it to the right touchline. Ben White, tall, upright, looks down the line for Saka. The ball came off Cresswell and should be cleared away by that man Declan Rice. Hooks it down the line. Odegaard's back to cover for Arsenal. Flicks it infield, plumb dead centre. Xhaka, tired ball again, asking too much of Trossard. West Ham pounce, then Arsenal smother Paqueta, but he gets it away. Bowen finds Benrahma, as he looked for Antonio. So Holding got it away. They had a 2-on-1 there if it had gone through.
And if he selects the right pass there, or if he executes the right pass there, West Ham are in again. And it was a rather sloppy pass, expecting far too much from an Arsenal player, and West Ham pounced on it and weren't happy just to sit on the ball. All of a sudden, every time Bowen gets the ball at the moment, he's just a live wire. He's just direct. He's going at Arsenal. He's either trying to pass it forwards or dribble forwards and causing a lot of problems.
Well, Arsenal are making a double change. Reece Nelson is coming on. Man who was out from November through to early March with a thigh injury. And Fabio Vieira has also come on for Arsenal. And Martinelli has gone off and Kieran Tierney has gone off. And Granit Xhaka has gone to left back for the Arsenal. Fabio Vieira, the talented young Portuguese under-21 international, was in their World Cup preliminary squad for Qatar. Didn't make it. The man they signed from Porto last summer for a lot of money, £34 million.
Yeah, he pulled up with cramp, didn't he? And about 5-10 minutes ago, Tierney, when he made that tackle, he looked like he was struggling. And I just think it's a lot for his body. Hasn't started a game for a while, or a Premier League game. Has had that many starts this season. I think he's just had to come off with a bit of cramp, so Mikel Arteta's just pulled him off and had to reshuffle a little bit with Xhaka at left back.
Odegaard deep inside his own half, pursued by Declan Rice, but still got the clearance away. And now Arsenal have it with Rob Holding. 2-2 with 4.5 minutes to go. A game that has swung to and fro. And Vieira finds Nelson coming in off that left-hand touchline. Odegaard, bit of space, closed quickly by Paqueta, who's worked very hard off the ball for West Ham United. They were under pressure. They have all 11 players within 35 yards of their own dead ball line. Holding advances into that area of the field. He's right-hand side, white-booted, square ball to Trossard, little dapper player, spins, turns, runs at West Ham, rolls it to the left-hand touchline at 2-2. Nelson on that far side again, bends a lovely cross into the middle. Saka rises. Saka is the man who wins it in the 6-yard area at 5'10", the smallest of all of them in there.
He just glances the ball. He's always moving away from the goal. They're trying to work the ball into those wide areas, just wide of the 18-yard box, Arsenal, where they love to be, and then try and see what happens from there. But at the moment, they're having to cross the ball, and they've got players like Saka in that area. They're just not going to get enough purchase or be dominant enough in the air to score with headers at the moment, with West Ham defending really well with high numbers in that area.
West Ham are making a double substitution. Huge ovation for Antonio and also for Paqueta as they go off, and we'll have an update from that Women's FA Cup semi-final at the Best Scott. Ellen Ellard.
0-0, Chelsea won. The Samka headed goal the difference at the minute, but the shackles are off now for Villa. They've been throwing everything forward in front of goal, but just lacking that clinical final product. Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 1.
When you play against Samka, it must be the same feeling when you come up against Erling Haaland. You almost know Haaland's going to score, and you almost know Samka is inevitably going to score. She's a goal-scoring machine. Now, this is a player come on for West Ham United. You were talking about beforehand you'd like to see more of him in the West Ham colours this season, Maxwell Cornet.
Yeah, I thought he was excellent playing off the front for Burnley. You know, his left foot is very instinctive with his finishing, and he's good in a wide area as well. But I'm looking at what position he's taken up on the pitch, and it does look to be that centre forward role at the moment that he's taken up with Antonio coming off, and I like him in that position. I know he's a real left-sider, but I think he works well off of a front man and picks up the ball in those areas, and not afraid to get a shot off early, something that West Ham could do with at the moment. Somebody with a few more goals in them. 2 minutes to go, 2-2. Very enjoyable game, the start of a busy week of football for you on 5 Live with the Champions League quarter-final second leg, Chelsea Real Madrid Tuesday on 5 Live. Wednesday we've got Bayern Munich against Manchester City, of course, for you. What a first leg that was for Manchester City. Updates of Inter Milan, Benfica on the Wednesday, and Napoli Milan on the Tuesday. And every afternoon, Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday on Sports Extra, the Indian Premier League cricket for you. Here come Arsenal. Can they win it late on? Trossard, a little spin and a back heel to find Ben White. Then it's nudged out by Fabio Vieira to Odegaard. Trossard has it again, wending his way to the right-hand touchline. Turns back again, 90 seconds to go. 2-2, Odegaard. Xhaka has come forward into a more central role. Little back in on the edge of the box by
Vieira was asking too much and nearly gave Cornet a chance to break away for West Ham United. He was used at Lyon as a left wing back for a lot of his time there, and left winger before that at Metz. It was Burnley where he sort of changed his persona, as Arsenal have it with Nelson. Took it down very well on the thigh trap, uses Saka to open up a space here then to Gabriel. Time is ticking away, and of course the wolf at the door is named Manchester City. Odegaard, foul, free kick. Will they rule that? Because Thilo Kehrer was called, drawn a long way out from the central defence, and has given away perhaps a needless free kick.
It was like a tangle of legs, wasn't it? Odegaard had the touch backwards, but it was a clumsy tackle that just gave away the free kick. But it's hard to see Arsenal scoring from a free kick at the moment with how well West Ham are defending the box.
We've got a substitution. Let's go to the rugby, and James Burridge.
Chris Ashton has scored his 99th Premiership try. It was nervous, he wobbled as he caught the ball, but he scored in the corner for Leicester, their third of the afternoon, and they are in the box seat as we reach half-time. 22 points to 12, and Chris Ashton with Premiership try number 99.
Back in front, Fornals has gone off. Fornals has come on, and Benrahma has gone off for West Ham. Odegaard has gone off, and Eddie Nketiah has come on for Arsenal. And that's all their subs done, and it's going to be a free kick here then for the Arsenal. We've got 5 minutes of stoppage time, and a free kick bent in by Vieira, and headed goalwards by Holding, and easily dealt with in the end.
Well, tough area to score from, not a lot of pace on the free kick either. Rob Holding gets up really well, but it's an in-swinging free kick, and he must head the ball nearly bang on the penalty spot, so power from that area has to be immense to beat Fabianski, and it's just comfortably into his hands.
Well, you can't say Arsenal aren't going for it with Odegaard off and Nketiah on. They've got Trossard out there, they've got Nelson out there, they've got Saka out there. And does that leave them a little bit vulnerable perhaps at the other end? We will wait and see. It's a throw to West Ham.
Do you feel Arteta's a little bit flatter in this game?
Yes,
like in terms of what you normally see him. He's kept very stationary, JP, hasn't he? With his arms crossed a lot, and just his facial expression. He hasn't been as lively. I'm looking at him now. He's kind of looking at the floor, just pacing around with his hands in his pockets. Looks really frustrated and a bit flat.
Well, you'll hear interviews from him a little bit later on, of course, and on the BBC website, and later on in the bulletins, the sports bulletins, you'll probably hear reaction. And later on tonight on 5 Live, maybe he's thinking, I could see this coming again. In comes the corner kick, and it's headed away by Gabriel out towards the near right-hand touchline. Cresswell runs against his man, thinks he's blocked off, plays for a free kick as he ran against Nketiah. The referee's having none of it. Trossard holds it up, releases infield. Saka tries to win it again away. He thought he was fouled. No free kick given for the challenge by Kehrer, and West Ham United switch to Cornet on the right-hand touchline now. Angles it back towards the heart of midfield. Fornals is there. It's a good ball to Cornet. In comes across. Gabriel away. Oh, and a shooting opportunity. But Fornals was taken away by his own teammate Soucek. And a real opportunity has gone there as it's collected by Ramsdale.
Well, that's what you're used to seeing from Maxwell Cornet. Lovely piece of play out wide. Give and go, plays it inside, then goes out on his right foot and fizzes the ball across the goal. Really puts Arsenal under pressure.
Been a terrific early Sunday afternoon of football entertainment. I hope you've enjoyed it. Here's Ben White, who outside has Saka, and we've had 3 minutes of stoppage time, or very nearly. Arsenal pressing for a winner. It would be huge. Can they get it? Trossard between box and touchline. White has an advantageous position. Crosses far post, glanced away by Sofal. Under pressure from Nketiah. Kept in here by Reece Nelson for Arsenal. Tries to work an angle to get the cross in. Rolls back. Plumb dead centre. Vieira chops it through. And it's easily gathered by the unopposed Fabianski. West Ham United, I think, would take a point. He went to rush it away, and David Moyes pointed out as if to say, you hold on to it, son.
I think you saw the eyes, JP. The eyes just lit up on David Moyes, as if to say, hey, hold on a minute. Just hold on to that ball. Let us get up the pitch. You can kick it long. We'll maybe win a second ball. Play in Arsenal's half. We've got a minute to go. let's just see this one through and take a point. It's a great result for West Ham. It really is. What a comeback.
It would bolster their hopes of staying up, that's for sure. It would mean advantage, you would think, Manchester City in the title race, but that game between City and Arsenal is absolutely crucial, and there will be twists and turns between now and the end of May. Fabio Vieira wasn't strong enough in a challenge with Declan Rice. You don't go into a challenge strong enough with Declan Rice. There's only one winner there, and West Ham sneak it down the right-hand touchline. Cornet's got a chance to get a cross in, and Holding, leaning back, angled a clearance away right-footed towards the Arsenal left at 2-2. They have possession. Trossard spinning 10 yards outside his own penalty area, but he's very, very deep. There's no one through the middle for Arsenal in the centre forward role as they find Saka on the right-hand touchline. Ben White is now Arsenal's furthest forward player on the right touchline. Trossard is in a central midfield role in the centre circle. They don't want him there. Nelson has it towards the left-hand side. West Ham fans are screaming for the whistle to go. We've got 10 seconds left before we hit 5 minutes of stoppage time at 2-2. Listen to the hammers. Just listen to the West Ham fans now. This is what this stadium can do for you. The ball angled into the box. Trossard brings it down from Jorginho's lob. Trossard's left a foot in on the challenge. It doesn't matter. The full-time whistle blows, and for the second game in a row, the league leaders have let a 2-0 lead slip. 2-0 up in the opening 9 minutes of the game through Jesus, very well worked, and Odegaard a terrific far post volley, but then Benrahma from the penalty spot after Gabriel had fouled his man. Arsenal gave them way back into it. Then drama in the second half. 49 minutes, handball, bit controversial against Antonio. Saka, dreadful spot kick wide, and within 5 minutes Bowen had volleyed West Ham United level. That's the way it stayed.
Well, massive credit here to West Ham. You have to make it about them almost, how they've got back in this game after looking so down and out, and Arsenal in total control, and the manner of the way that Arsenal have lost that 2-goal lead, that for me will be a concern for Mikel Arteta, who looks a bit of a dejected figure, understandably. You know, the pressure on him and Arsenal at this stage of the season, all the spotlight is on them to win and win. You have to keep winning, and this fixture was a massive opportunity. In fact, the way they started was excellent, but they've just let it slip away again, and what that means for them psychologically moving forward is going to be interesting to see. But credit to West Ham, great comeback in this game.
It'll be interesting to hear the reaction of the manager. Stay tuned to 5 Live from that. But Steve, this was terrific entertainment from me, and it's finished 2-2.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we'll be able to bring you both Mikel Arteta and David Moyes live between now and kick-off at the City Ground for Nottingham Forest, Manchester United. Matt, you look at the body language of those Arsenal players. They don't look like a team 4 points clear at the top of the Premier League. They're feeling it, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, understandably. Yeah, I have to say, you've got a team chasing you that is relentless. And we spoke about the quality and what they bring. So they're going to feel disappointed, but that's the standards they've set. You know, and I think the fact that you're 2 goals up just makes it feel worse. You know, you've had that lead, you've been in such control, 2 games on the bounce now, and you haven't won either one of them. You start, the key for them now is don't let the doubt creep in. The job for the Mikel Arteta and his staff, don't allow the players to feel down or negative about themselves, that they've lost something or they've not done this. You've rightly just said they're still in a great position. You have to maintain that mentality. You have to keep believing that. That's the job for Arsenal at the moment, and they just have to keep it rolling on.
Yeah, absolutely. This is not the idea that someone has bottled something or anything incredibly reductive like that. That isn't how it works. But when you talk about doubt creeping in, it's not just the fact that in consecutive games they've lost 2-0 leads, is it? It's the manner, as you said, of the way they've done it. 2 games that they were in complete control of. Yeah, that's a concern. Absolutely a concern, because it's that ruthlessness or game management to be able to see that through, and it's been the one thing that's been levelled at Arsenal for a number of years, and they've put it right this season. 100% they've put it right, and they've made massive strides as a group to be a better team, and we've seen it, and they're on the cusp of potentially winning something special. So, you know, credit to them for that. But the way they started this game, the decision for Thomas Partey to try and nick that ball around Declan Rice, who, by the way, the whole first half has been gambling and pressing, set the tone for the game by pressing for West Ham. It's almost like in your mind you go,
got to think, I can't do this here. If one of those players is going to gamble, I'm going to lose this ball, and then we're in big trouble. So just those little decisions that you start to make have a huge impact. I mean, Saka missing the penalties, pretty cruel. I didn't personally think it was a penalty. I thought that was a really poor decision to give that penalty. It shouldn't have been a penalty. Maybe justice was that the ball didn't go in. But having said that, those moments, they're going to play big for Arsenal, and they've certainly played big in this game.
The body language, Jonathan, the penalty miss, it's a wobble, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll tell you where you saw that, Steve, was when Saka went forward later on in the game. He knew he'd missed the penalty, and he delayed on that chance, and it was gone, the later one. And I think had he not missed the penalty, he'd have chucked that away. It was maybe playing on his mind. Starts to play on the minds of league leaders at this time when they are being hard pressed. They have Southampton at home. They look hapless at the moment. Chelsea at home, they look pretty hapless on what Matt and I saw yesterday against Brighton. Brighton at home and Wolves at home. I think they'll need to win all of those home games, you know, and maybe get something at Manchester City. If they don't get anything at Manchester City, then they are going to have to win all those home games. And I think it's going to go. There will be more twists. Manchester City, I don't think will win all the games between now and the end of the season. So we'll wait and see. But these were 2 points badly dropped.
Not to forget West Ham's role in this, of course, Matt. 15th in the Premier League table, 31 points. It's interesting when you look at the league. You know, we've spent so many weeks quite rightly talking about how congested it is down the bottom. But particularly after results this weekend with teams picking up key points, it's starting to spread, isn't it? And West Ham are starting to get the right side of that line.
Gradually, I will say. I mean, the two wins they've had against Fulham and Southampton were just colossal, I have to say, at a moment where they just had to win. Otherwise, I think they would have just been really, really struggling. Both 1-0 wins. And they've ground it out today, and I think that what David Moyes brings is he's got that strength, he's got that character, he's got that discipline as a person, and West Ham played like that today. Yes, there were mistakes, poor mistake for the second goal, and you know they haven't been good enough with the ball, but they've got a bit of steel about them, and I think that runs through the club and the squad from the manager down. And I think they'll be okay. And you're right, it's just starting to spread a little bit as you'd expect, but that can soon change, as we know. See how Nottingham Forest get on later.
It will be a heck of a time, Jonathan, for Jared Bowen to refine the form of last season.
Yeah, he took the goal well, didn't he? And you know, I think that's 1 defeat in 8 now in all competitions. If they get the bounce as well of a victory again in the second leg of the conference quarter on Thursday, players who missed out today come back for the trip to Bournemouth. If they can get a point there, you know, what Liverpool side will they face in the game after that? You never know with Liverpool at the moment, but I think they're on the right way. I think there are games they can pick up enough points from to get away from trouble and continue that European run as well. I'll go back, Steve, for you. They won away at Derby County. It was that run for me that turned the season. They beat Everton here, went a Derby and won, and then 2 decent performances against Newcastle and a draw away, 1-1. Chelsea at home here, 1-1 it was. I know they've lost games since then, and big games. They've lost big time. Brighton thrashed them, Newcastle thrashed them, but it was that run of games that I think persuaded David Moyes that he had enough here that they could stay up. Not that knowing David, he'll have ever wavered in that belief.
Jonathan, Matt, thank you very much indeed.